What's going on, Papa Fam? Welcome back to day 4 of the 5-day Amazon challenge. I'm excited, guys. This is gonna be so much fun. Get ready for this. You know, get your coffees ready because this is going to be a challenge. Let me know who made it from day 1 all the way to now, because there is gonna be a drop off. Only the ones who are not gonna quit, not gonna, afraid to push through it, are gonna make it. Welcome to day 4, guys. Let's do this. Go ahead and comment where you're watching from right now. Let's do this, guys. This is awesome. We can see Jyotish says, I am not gonna quit. Siddharth, Natasha, Sam, Akeb, Sai, Pranay, Arjun. I'm recognizing a lot of these names. Ben says he's watching from Canada right now. We've got India in the house. We have United States. We have France. We have Bangladesh. We have Egypt. Whoa, this is insane, guys. Welcome to day 4 of the Amazon challenge. Now, like I said, this is gonna be the big one, okay? So we already have built a crazy powerful application. Yesterday, we added in authentication and we added in the Stripe checkout. Oh no, we added in the Redux checkout portion of the build. Today, we're gonna be adding in the Stripe checkout functionality, Firebase, and we're gonna be setting up our first webhook. So it's a lot. We're gonna be doing a lot today, so get ready for this, guys. Without further ado, let's jump in. Juliana says, I'm so tired, but I'm not quitting. That's the attitude I wanna see today, right? So you guys are gonna notice we're gonna get a decline in the numbers as we go on. But remember, stick around and push, right? It's not about quitting. And like I said, guys, if you haven't already, reserve your spot in day 5. Remember, we're all doing a challenge right now, which means there are prizes available. So if you wanna be and get yourself a chance at winning that prize, first link in the description, make sure you go ahead and sign up right now, okay? Guys, go ahead and register. You know what to do, right? Register and hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. There's so many people watching right now who aren't subscribed, so you know what to do, guys. Let's continue on. Hey, we got Africa is here with you, Sonny. I love that, guys. Remember, like I said, we do have an official Papa Fam Discord server where you can go ahead and ask and answer questions. And we also have the Facebook group. Now, the Facebook group has been awesome. Anyone who's been in the Facebook group, you guys are insane. Like the amount of support everyone's giving each other. It's what I want to see. It's what I love. And this is why we do what we do. And it's why we're pushing the Papa Fam to its limits right now. This is crazy stuff, guys. 2,000 members in that group, by the way. Remember, share us on your socials to get those extra points. And guys, remember, did you register the 5-day challenge? Because day 5, tomorrow is the big day. Tomorrow, I open up the doors to our flagship course. We're going to reveal the winners of the secret challenge. We have an exclusive surprise for every single person who registered and turns up tomorrow. So do not miss it. It's going to be so much fun. It's just going to be like one massive party, okay, guys? And remember, we're going to go through the ultimate full stack roadmap. Okay, so we're going to go show you how you can take the skills that you've learned throughout these days. So I hope you've learned a bunch. And if you have, smash the like button, right? And we're going to go ahead and show you how you can take that to go ahead and land your dream job. So guys, let's continue on. First link in the description, sign up. I'm waiting. You know what to do, guys. Get the energy up, sign up. And remember, like I said, the prize is Diamond Mentorship, 3 Platinum Bootcamp experiences, and 10 winners of 50% off our Platinum experience. So this is huge. This is the biggest prize funnel we've ever done. It's going to be so much fun, guys. And on day 5, like I said, we're opening the doors to our flagship course, right? And we're going to be offering something we have never offered before, and it's only going to be available in that session tomorrow. So like I said, sign up and be there. Okay, guys, this is awesome stuff. Point systems: 1 point for sending a message, 2 for sharing on socials, 3 for helping someone with their homework, 4 for referring someone, and 5 for anyone who has done their homework. Right? So motivation relaxation says hard day but fun time. That's what we're doing, guys. It's hard, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Right? So like I said, you must be a part of the Facebook group. Submit your homeworks like we showed you. But let's go through some of the fun stuff, right? So some of you actually pulled through, right? It was crazy. I thought to myself, I was like, you know what? I am challenging them here. It's not an easy build. Let's see how many people do it. And I was blown away by the response. Yesterday's homework was to build the checkout page with Redux. That means You're going to have a checkout page where you can add items to your basket, remove them, and so forth. And I also set a bunch of, additional challenges. I also set a task to implement your Google sign-in with Next authentication. Okay, so that was an additional task that I went ahead and threw on top of that. So yeah, guys, it's a big amount to go ahead and chuck in. But yeah, we received over 300 submissions. I couldn't believe it. I was like, you know what? I said to Jay, I was like, Jay, maybe I'll be happy if we get 60. But we had 300, which means people are watching these videos afterwards, jumping in the challenge late. Let me know if you jumped in the challenge late, but you are committed to crushing it, right? Let me know right now. This is incredible to see. We have Shops Rise says Sunny's on fire. We have Tara News saying, what's up? Blue Octopus is back. What's up, Shop Rise? Hello, guys. How's it going? I love to see all of you back and watching again. Okay, as usual, you guys killed it. So we're going to go ahead and review some of your homework builds. Okay, remember, if you see yourself right now, shout out, right? You're going to get, this is your time to shine. You guys deserve this. Let's have a look. We have Yap Yi Kang came in clutch, followed everything down to a T, looked amazing. Great job, brother. And also been messaging me on Instagram. I love that. I love the, the engagement, all of that sort of, positive energy. So thank you. Well done. Juliana absolutely crushed it. Looks great. She actually had some flags sort of at the top right there. So I'm guessing it's internationalization. Looks amazing. Well done. Fatima Mohammed, Nelson Colin. Again, both of you crushed it with your builds. If you're watching right now, you know what to do. Make some noise and awesome job, guys. We have a Worthy Jana, Rogers. Good stuff. Again, followed all of it like they had to do for the homework and they crushed it, right? And guys, the extra 10 points. These ones are insane. Are you guys ready to see who crushed it and got the extra 10 points? Look at this. I can't even believe how crazy these are. I loved this build by JM Clary. Sorry if I pronounced it wrong, dude. But check this one out, guys. Firstly, we've got this lovely animation, right? So as I hover over everything, it's got such a nice animation. And then boom, this is so clean. Look at the top right. That is so clean. There's an animation which basically goes ahead and it stacks. It even stacks. So if I spam it, it stacks up on top of each other. So when you add an item to the basket, boom. And he didn't just stop there. He added quantity to the basket, which does work. Yes, it does. And if I go ahead and add 3 and remove, it actually removes the entire item with a slick animation. You killed it, man. You absolutely killed it. And if you're watching right now, I think it's JM Ninja. Yeah, it's JM Ninja. Absolutely sick job, dude. I loved your build. And that's awesome. Incredible stuff, man. Let's check out the next person, Dash Santosh. You guys, I had to feature it again, right? He went above and beyond. He actually, James Ninja says, it also works on mobile. I didn't expect anything less, dude. Amazing stuff. Dash Santosh, as we saw yesterday, look at this, animations, everything redesigned from the ground up. If we go ahead and add a bunch of stuff to the cart, we can also bookmark. So you can see the bookmark item came in here. And also if we go to the cart, you can actually add additional things. He's even got sale prices. How sick is that, right? And then you've got the ability to remove from cart. And I love this custom screen. Everything is slick. That is crazy. Dash Santosh, you are killing it, dude. And I really, honestly, I was impressed by this one. This one actually took me back a bit. I was shocked when Jay showed me that one. Roman Loco, I'm not going to pronounce it right. I'm sorry, dude. But you went ahead and did something very unique. So you went ahead and added, so you done all the adding to item basket functionality. But what I love here is he's grouped it by the categories. So here we've got men's clothing. But let's go ahead and check out a few other things, right? So let's go ahead and add in, say, women's clothing, some electronics. So you see the categories over here and jewelry. And check this out, guys. It's actually grouped in your basket by the category. So if I go ahead and add another item to the basket, he's then got quantity. So that's awesome. I really love that. If you've already done the work for the quantity, I would have loved to have seen a little, a plus and a minus here. But dude, amazing job. Looks clean as hell. I love that. And yeah, awesome, amazing stuff. We have the final one, Khalid, amazing redesign. Okay, so let's check out Khalid's build. We've got nice little animations. We did have, oh, there we do. Oh, nice. Oh, wow. This was new. I didn't see this one earlier. That's slick. That is slick. Look at this, guys. That's super clean. I love seeing this. And look, he's even got, is this gonna work? Let's have a look. Oh, it does. It does. The filtering does actually work. Amazing job, dude. And look, he's got different colors being assigned to each one. So if I was to go ahead and click on the yellow, it shows the yellow. That's sick. Well done, dude. I love that. Look, check all products. I wonder what that one is. If we click add to basket, and there we go. We got a basket. We've got the, you know, the addition minus buttons. If we remove it, okay, you can remove it like that. But if we hit the minus there, it doesn't get rid of it. So a little addition. Remember, UX is everything, but incredible job. Well done, man. That's honestly good bloody job, people. This is looking incredible. Super proud. We just broke 200 viewers watching right now. This is awesome, guys. We just almost about to beat 150 likes. Keep on smashing that like button if you're enjoying this right now. And let's carry on, guys. The Papa Fam community is on fire lately, right? So like I said, there was points for helping each other, right? And you guys are killing it, right? Look at this. We had loads of questions, some about, you know, the sort of, you know, parameters that were going into Vercel. I saw you guys helping each other out. And what I've done is every time I kind of see something, and if I haven't, don't worry, but I'll go in and I'll like or I'll heart the comment where I saw somebody help someone else. So if you have seen me do that, then shout out to you, because that's awesome on you, right? See loads of different help and sort of, you know, sort of question and answers. And you can see I love it when somebody gets that satisfaction where it helped, you know, they've conquered their problem they were probably facing for ages. It's incredible, right? Looks really, really lovely. And guys, like I said, so much love during this challenge right now. And you guys show me so much love. So this is some awesome, you know, I always read your comments, but I always want to take a second out to appreciate it and tell you guys that I wouldn't be here right now if it weren't for you guys. So awesome stuff. But guys, we've already done, you know, we've done a lot of the sort of homework checking and all that stuff, but now it is time to focus. Okay, it is time to focus. It is time to get a bit serious right now. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and start it off a little bit suspenseful, right? It's day 4, and this is going to be the tricky build. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you, right? If you thought the days, you know, 1 and 2 were a little bit tricky, this one is the one where I'll say you're challenging yourself. So do not quit, right? You're right at the finishing line. And what makes you different from every other developer out there is if you make it to that finishing line, despite what bugs you're going to face along the way. So use the Facebook group, use the Discord, make it happen, and do not quit until you reach the finishing point today. Okay, let's go ahead and see what we're going to be doing today. Check this out, guys. Right, so today we're going to be building the Stripe payment. Right, so this payment screen, a custom webhook, which allows us to then push data into a database, and then all of the UI for the Your Orders page. All of that is happening today, right? I'm gonna give you a quick demo. And like I said before, if you haven't already, first link in the description, make sure you sign up for tomorrow. Tomorrow's gonna be huge. It's gonna be the biggest part about this entire challenge. So make sure you're there, sign up, first link in the description. All you have to do is click save my spot. Literally, we have less than a day left. Now guys, I'm gonna show you a quick demo of what we're going to be doing today. Okay, so I'm going to quickly sign into my account. Let's go ahead and quickly sign in right now. Hopefully it all works. Oh, this is getting tense. Is it going to work? Let's go ahead and hit sign in right now. I'm not showing my screen because I'm quickly signing in. Okay, let's go ahead and do this right now. Okay. Oh, 2-factor authentication. It's kind of dragging it out, but we're good. We're good. Keep it a second. And let me know which part you think is going to be the toughest, right? Which part do you think is going to be the hardest about the build today? So we're going to go ahead and add some items to our basket, click on the add, and then we're going to click on proceed to checkout. And this is what you're going to have if you get it all working, okay? So if you keep on pushing to the end of today, so I'm going to hide the details for a sec. Here you can enter anything pretty much because it's dummy details. So there we go. Just entering in some details. The test card details whenever you're doing Stripe is 4242. Okay, so this is the moment of truth. Is it going to go through? Is it going to trigger a custom webhook that you guys are going to build today? Okay, so this is going to build a Stripe. We're going to build a Stripe checkout page, and this is going to trigger a Stripe webhook. And if it does, I'm going to get the energy back up in this place. There we go. Nice. Awesome. Okay, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on go to my orders, and boom, there's the order that I just placed. Okay, I don't know, I've got a habit of placing the same order apparently, but yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing today. Okay. I was trying to get everyone, get your heart rate up a little bit. Juliana's like, oh my God, I'm worried now. But don't worry, guys. I was just giving you a little bit of a freak out. It's going to be a lot of fun, okay? I'm going to break it down for you. But like I said, we're going to have all that functionality in today's build. So we're going to be carrying on from yesterday. So if you haven't finished yesterday's work, don't worry, just watch along. You're going to learn a lot just by watching. And if you do want to participate, then feel free to follow all the videos up until this point. And like I said, do not freak out. Do not quit. Main thing is don't quit, okay? Quick water break, and then we're going to go ahead and get started for today's build. I love looking at these comments. Oh, Avnish says, I bought 2 jackets from your store. Hell yeah, dude. That's what I'm talking about. I want to see you repping the Papa Fam much. Anyone who says, I don't know what a webhook is, I'll explain what a webhook is. Don't worry. Well, once we get to that point, I'll explain what we're doing. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in, guys, right? We're going to go ahead and start the build off today. So this is where we left off in yesterday's build, okay? So we pretty much had all the authentication happening. So we don't have this screen in yesterday's build. We simply had the ability to add items to the basket. We had our authentication flow, and then we had this screen right here. So I'm going to hook it up so that way when we press proceed to checkout, it goes ahead and creates a Stripe session, okay? So I'm going to show you guys what we're going to be using. So it's called Stripe session checkout, okay? So this is what we're going to be using, okay? So it's actually going to be called Stripe checkout. Now, you guys can feel free to look at this website. I always love to show you, what the actual sort of reference is to the place that we're looking for, right? And again, if you guys are excited, smash the thumbs up button. Let's push past 200 to get this video started off. And we need to get this video spread out so that way everyone can learn and benefit, right? So this is what we're actually going to be doing. So you see that page that we landed on earlier, right? You can go ahead and theme it as you want, but that page belongs to Stripe, okay? So that's actually a page that they build, right? What we're doing is we're passing, when we have items in our basket, we click checkout, we pass the items from our basket to Stripe. Stripe then returns to us a checkout session, and then we redirect our user to that session. The user fills out their card details, all of their address and all that good stuff. And then once it goes through, it can either succeed or it can either, fail or be canceled. In which case we provide the URLs as to where the user is going to go after, but they're going to get redirected back to our website after that. So you see what actually happens. They start our website, they get redirected to Stripe, and then they come back to our website after the payment's done. That's how it works, okay? So Rivant says, hey, Sonny, I was busy with work from 2 days, sat up all day today, completed day 1 and do day 2. Awesome stuff, man. I saw so many views. It blew up on views. So incredible stuff. Juliana says, can you show that page again, please? Yes, it's this one right here, Stripe checkout. Okay. So you can go ahead and pretty much click accept a payment or have a look yourself. But I'm going to show you guys a quick rough intro as to where you can begin if you get stuck. This is the reference to the Stripe documentation that you can follow. But I'm going to dumb it down and, make it super simple. But this is basically what you can follow. And all you need to do is click on React for the instructions and then pretty much follow it along. Now you're going to see different parts where you're going to see things like server side or client side bits of code, right? So let me see if I can show you. And also when it has the example, make sure you click on node. But wherever you see node, that's actually backend code. And wherever you see React, that's actually front-end code. So I'm going to go ahead and make it extremely clear. But I think the best way to show you guys is pretty much to go ahead and just start. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is go ahead and install Stripe. So this is the command that they're telling us to do. I'm not using npm, so I'm going to go ahead and click the dependency, go to my code, hit Command J to bring up my terminal, and then instead I'm going to do yarn add Stripe. Okay, so this will go ahead and pull in the Stripe dependencies into my project. Okay, so now let's give that a second while that's loading up. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and check out the rest of what's going on. Okay, so let's see what's happening right now. Okay, now guys, we're about to break 200 likes. We are so close. Let's keep on going. All right, so you see here, we need a checkout button. Now we do already have a checkout button, but notice theirs has a row of link. Right, so this is always good to have the correct syntax. So what we're going to do right now is go ahead and add in that missing syntax. So I'm going to go to my checkout page. like so. I'm going to hide this terminal now because it's already installed. And then you see we've got the button which says proceed to checkout. So I'm going to go ahead and add in the row of link to this button, okay? So you should always be syntactically correct, right? And then that's going to help you out. So this is going to be, you know, your SEO needs to be on point as well. And SEO, if you don't know what that is, that's your page ranking in Google, how you basically get, you know, pushed up in top of the ranks, right? So that way people actually land on your site. Okay, so that's the first thing, right? We did that. The second part is, you see we have another dependency called Stripe and Stripe.js. Now, the good thing is that we don't actually have to, you know, worry too much about installing dependencies on client side or server side, because Next.js kind of, you know, it covers everything, right? And I'll explain as to what I mean by that, but it keeps it very simple when we're installing our dependencies. And the way that we're going to do it today is all we have to simply do is go ahead and copy @stripe/stripe.js, okay? So we're going to copy that, open Command J. Oh, we just broke 200 likes. Let's go, guys. Keep the energy up. That's what I'm talking about. We have 250 viewers right now across platforms. That's awesome. I'm going to type in yarn add stripe/stripe.js. Okay, so we added in Stripe and then we also added in stripe/stripe.js. They're not the same. They're two different things, right? So you see, if you're using Node.js on the server, which we are, you need to install both the Stripe and Stripe.js packages, right? So you see Stripe is used on the server side and Stripe.js provides methods for client side, right? So I'll explain what's going on there and we'll make it super simple in just a sec. Okay, so the first step is we need to go ahead and configure our sort of front end code, okay? So we can hide this with Command J. And then what I'm gonna do is go ahead and actually pull up my local host. So I'm gonna go ahead and say local host, okay? There we go. Let's go ahead and pull up the local host. Nice. Wait a second. Let me go ahead and actually pull this through right now. Right. There we go. This is looking great. We have our local host up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this one over onto this side. So that way, you know, we can have our nice little coding set up in place. Okay, great. Let me up the music a little bit. There we go. All right, we'll get into a little flow state together, guys. So now if I go ahead and add some items to the basket, there you go. You can see it's all added then. And this is where we want to be to. So when I click this button now, I want to do something and I want to go ahead and create a checkout state. Right, so I want to go ahead and create a checkout state. To be honest, that button should have been sort of, you know, should have been checked out, but that's fine. Right, so we want to go ahead and create a checkout state when this button is when this button is pressed. So the way we do it is we need to create an on-press function, on-click, function, okay? And this on-click function needs to go ahead and trigger off some kind of, you know, some kind of create checkout session function, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a function called create checkout session. So I need to go ahead and create this. So I'm going to go to the top. I'm going to say const checkout, create checkout session. And then we have our function. So remember, like I said, guys, the way it works is the user clicks proceed to checkout. Then we send the basket items and a bunch of other information over to Stripe. Right now, how do we do all of that? I'll show you how we do that. But we need to go ahead and send it over to Stripe, and then it will create a session, and then we can go ahead and redirect the user to that session, okay? So I'm going to show you how we can do all of this stuff. So the first thing we need to do is go ahead and actually at the top of the page, we need to have something called a Stripe promise. So I'm going to say const Stripe promise equals load Stripe, right? I need to import that from Stripe/Stripe.js. And what we need to do here, guys, is we need to pass in something called a public key. Okay, so we need to install something called a public key. And what the public key is for is our public key, which means it can be visible to everyone else, but we're still going to store it in the environment files. And this public key is going to be used to get access to our Stripe account. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and reduce the music a bit because this one's going to get a little bit more intense. So we're going to go to our environment.local. Okay, and inside of here, what you need to do, so this is available in the starter template, but your keys are going to be different to mine. But your public key is the one that needs to go here. Okay, so what you need to do is need to log into Stripe. So I'm just going to log into Stripe right now. Stripe is a payment processor that we're going to be using today. If none of you have ever heard of Stripe before, what's up, Samba? Right, so if none of you have ever heard of Stripe before, it's an awesome payment platform, and you can see it's a great way to accept card payments. If you're wondering who it's used by, Deliveroo, Booking.com, Zero, a lot of amazing places, Monzo, like it's huge, especially in the UK. It's massive. So we use Stripe all over the place. Okay. Now I'm going to click on start now. And I've actually already got an account for Stripe. So I'm going to go ahead and hit sign in. Right. So I'm going to quickly sign in, but you can go ahead and create a free Stripe account and it won't take long. You should just need to go ahead and enter in a few basic credentials, but I'm going to go ahead and log into my Stripe account right now. Just give me 1 second and then I'm going to go ahead and show you what you should see. There's going to be an option to create a new store. Okay. So all you need to do is go ahead and create a new store. It's completely free and simple to do that. And then give me 1 second. I'll show you how you can get the credentials once you are logged in. So I need to do one of those little capture tests, right, guys? Let's spot the traffic lights. Don't you all love this game? I'm not gonna lie, it kind of gets on my nerves, but yeah, you know, it's all right. It's what it is. Let's go ahead and see if I'm in the correct one. So once you're inside, you want to go ahead and go to the top. I've got a few different ones, but you're going to click on new account. I've already got one. I'm going to go ahead and go into my Amazon demo. So this is the one that I'm using today, the Amazon demo. Okay. Now, once we are in here, okay, what we're going to do, thank you so much, Samba, for the positive comments, right? We got Narc coming back for the 4th day. And what's the command to create the import line, please? Right. Which import line are you referring to? I'm not sure. But the command is this one here. I mean, that might be the one. Okay, let's carry on. Right, so, and that's actually an automatic thing. So as I type that in, I'm wondering if that's what you meant. So as I was typing in load Stripe, it automatically pops in. That's just built into VS Code, okay? And then you hit enter. But if it doesn't come up, don't worry, okay? Don't rely on that as a shortcut, but it's probably just a local problem, okay? So now what we need to do is, you see the publishable key down here, right? But the place where we're all gonna find it consistently is if you go to developers on the left, and then you need to go over to API keys, okay? This one. So publishable key is our public key, okay? This is because it's the one that we can allow to be published. We don't care about it being shown, right? So I'm gonna click on copy. So this is the key that I care about right now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go back to my code and I'm going to go to my environment file and I'm going to go ahead and paste it in there right like that. Okay, so you've got primary key and then you can test it out, right? So you've got the Stripe public key like so. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to grab my secret key. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click reveal right now and then I'm going to copy my key that popped up. So it's a very simple copy. And I'm going to go into my secret key area in my environment variable, and then I'm going to paste it. So I'm going to show you a little section of it, so it's fine. Okay, so now you can see I've got my public key and I've got my secret key. Okay, so this one here, right? So that looks pretty good. Now we don't need to worry about the signing secret yet. Okay, so this is still, everything is looking pretty good. So this gives us access to our Stripe account now. So we've got all of our keys set up. So now I can save this. I can close the environment file. And I'm going to go ahead and open up my localhost 3000 once again. All right, let's go ahead and carry on. Okay, looking good. Guys, we're looking great. We're nearly at 300 likes. Let's keep on pushing. All right, so now what we're going to do is we have our load Stripe. So what I'm going to say is process.env.stripe. Okay, and it's going to be underscore public underscore key. Okay, so this was actually referring to this one over here, right? So Stripe public key. Okay. Oh, actually, so what we need to do here is for this one, only for the Stripe public key. Can you notice how I'm not using uppercase here, right? So for the key that I need to be public, there's a special way that I need to pull it into our Next.js, right? So the way I need to do it is go to my next.config.js and inside of here, just for the public key, okay, I've stressed this point enough, right? I can't stress it enough. You do not put private details inside of your next.config.js because I know so many people are saying this. Do not put your private secret keys in next.config.js because it will be exposed publicly to the web. Okay, so you don't do that. Here we're going to say environment. And then what you do is you say Stripe. So this is the one that I'm using. So Stripe underscore public underscore key. And then in here, we say process.environment.stripe. And this is the capitalized one, stripe.public key. So do you see what we're doing here, right? We're actually feeding. So remember, our environment file is located here. Okay. And then what we're doing is we're using a variable from there to feed it into our Next.js config. this gives us a Next.js environment variable called Stripe public key, and it correctly exposes it on Next.js. That's the way that you have to do it, okay? So go ahead and hit save. And we don't care because this is a public key, it's a publishable key, it doesn't matter, right? So with that bit said, we can go to checkout.js, and now I will have access to the Stripe public key, okay? So if you try and use the capitalized one, it's not gonna work, right? So you have to be careful with that, okay? So now what I'm gonna do is go ahead and do Command J, and I'm gonna go ahead and actually restart my server. In this case, I wasn't running the server, but I'm gonna go ahead and restart my server again. So I'm gonna say yarn run dev. I actually had another build running. Okay, and now there's a few things you want to look out for here, okay? You want to see that it loads in some environment files. If it doesn't, you need to go ahead and make sure that works, right? And then the next thing you want to do is make sure your Tailwind is kicking off. If your Tailwind is not kicking off, go into your Tailwind config file and hit save, okay? Hit save on that, and then you should be able to see in just a second. There you go, you have enabled the JIT engine. Shiva Arati, thank you so much for that lovely donation. Coming in clutch already with the donations. Okay, awesome stuff. So now we have our connection to Stripe initialized. Okay, so this right here, we've got Stripe promise over here. So now what we're going to do is we can use the Stripe promise. So I'm going to go to the checkout page, so checkout.js. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. There we go. Nice. So now inside of the checkout page, what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and say const, I'm going to say Stripe equals await Stripe promise. Okay, so here I'm saying await Stripe promise. And what this is going to do, guys, is it's going to go ahead and pull in a Stripe variable that I can use, right, to go ahead and do what I need to do. Okay, so this is going to asynchronously load it. But we have to load it in this form. Otherwise, you don't want to have this inside of your render. Otherwise, you're going to load tons and tons of Stripe instances. Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. We're going to hide the terminal. Upbeat. Thank you for that, dude. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get our instance. So now we've got access to a Stripe.js variable. Okay. The next step is to go ahead and say, call your back. Okay. So the next end is going to go ahead and call the backend to create a checkout session. Okay, now what backend are we talking about? This is actually our own backend that we need to now go ahead and create. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is hydrate, right? So quick little hydration right now before we get started in this. Right now we're going to go ahead and actually create our first API backend endpoint. Okay, if anyone says this isn't a full stack build, you tell them to shut up. This is an API endpoint we're about to build. Okay, and what we also need to do is, because we're using await here, I need to chuck in an async. Okay, if you chuck in an await without an async, it will not work, right? So JM Ninja, good catch, dude. Right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a checkout session. Now, how do we do this? Okay, so Stripe are quite strict about this. We need to go ahead and actually have a specific endpoint. So inside of API, so here are our pages, right? So I'm gonna close everything that I don't necessarily need. And now here you've got the pages. Now pages is where we have all of our stuff. So we have index, checkout page, but we also have our API, okay? So where we have the API over here, we're gonna go ahead and hit this. And then inside of here, you can see it's a little bit messy, but you wanna make sure you just click on the API and then click add new file, okay? Now here, what I'm gonna say is I'm gonna do create-checkout-session.js. Okay, so this is gonna be the backend, the sort of backend endpoint. So the endpoint here is actually going to be, you see, it's not inside the auth folder, it's inside the API folder. So pay close attention to this. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and if you have to make a call to this, the call would literally be the host name /API/create checkout session. Okay. So it'd be something like this, create checkout session. So you can basically fetch from that endpoint now. Okay. So how do we then go ahead and create an API endpoint? Well, Next.js actually make this quite easy for us. Okay. So all we have to do is go ahead and do the following. So if you ever worked with Express or anything like that, you'll be pretty familiar with what's happening with this one. But this is actually all you need to actually say that this is an endpoint in Next.js. Okay. So let me go ahead and make this actually a bit bigger right now because it's actually super small. All right, there we go. Right, so we've got the asynchronous sort of function over here, right? So this is going to be what is going to get called when we hit this endpoint. Okay, so does that make sense so far? Okay, so now what we need to do is go ahead and again initialize our Stripe endpoint. Okay, so remember here we have a backend code. Anything underneath API is a backend code. Okay, so anything in this folder, right? Anything inside of this folder API is backend code. Anything inside of pages which is not inside the API, example this stuff like index, checkout, this is all going to be front end code. Okay, so this is front end code, not backend code. Okay, and then API is backend code, right? So that means it's running on the server. Now what we're going to say is we're going to say const stripe equals require, and then here I say Stripe. So we're going to use a Stripe dependency. And then I'm going to also go ahead and add another parentheses. And this one is going to say process.environment.stripe secret key. So remember we had two keys that we set up, the public and the secret key. So here we're going to go ahead and do the Stripe secret key. Okay. Now this one we don't mind showing here. We don't have to load it in a special Next.js way. This is because it's a secret key and it's only loaded on the backend, which means it's never going to get exposed to the user's browser. Okay, so that's why we can go ahead and be sure that this is okay. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead. We've got our Stripe object here. Now we need to go ahead and firstly, we are going to need a few things from the sort of request, right? So we need to actually, like I said, we need to pass all of the items from the front end to the Stripe checkout session. And like I said, guys, if you haven't already, sign up for tomorrow. It's going to be huge. Day 5 of the event. Make sure you reserve your seat because I'm going to be closing that webinar very soon. So that way we have a reserved seating for everyone who turns up tomorrow. So yeah, make sure you are there, guys. So sign up to that seat. First link in the description. Okay, so let's carry on. What we're going to do now is we can use the Stripe sort of API to go ahead and create a checkout session, but I'm going to need a bit more details at the moment, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to first install something called Axios, right? So Axios is something that we're going to use. So we've actually fixed this issue, so we can get rid of that, but we're going to use Axios. Now Axios is how we're going to make our sort of network calls. So I'm going to say yarn add Axios, okay? And let's focus. So you can see Upbeat says done, nice stuff. Hamad Sadiq, what's up? Right, so yarn add Axios. Now we've got Axios installed. Okay, so what we need to do now is actually make a request to this endpoint. Okay, so right now it doesn't do much, but we're going to soup it up so it has a little bit more power behind it. So what we're going to say now is we're going to say, okay, const, we're going to create a checkout session because remember, we want to send the user to one of these Stripe checkout sessions. Okay, Athava says, yo, Axios is one of my favorite libraries. Yeah, it's an awesome library for making requests. Now we're going to say await, right? And here I'm going to say Axios.post because it's a post request. Whenever you're doing any kind of API work, you need to make either a get, post, put, update. There's different types of API REST requests. The one that we're going to be doing today is post. Okay, so we're going to be pushing some information up with the request. And firstly, we need to specify what the URL is that we're making the request to. In this case, it's going to be /API /create checkout session, right? So this will go towards this endpoint that we've created. Okay, so we're creating a little endpoint here. So this is some full stack development we're happening right now. We're going to hit a comma inside after the URL, and this is basically called the body. So when you make a post request, this is where you push some data up with that request. Okay, so in our case, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to push up some stuff. So I'm going to push up the items. And I'm also going to go ahead and push in the email because I want to actually have the user's email as well. So I'm going to say session. The items is actually going to be directly linked to this. So we can go ahead and just do items. Oops. Let's do this items. And you can shorthand that if you want. And then here we're going to say email is session.user.email. Okay. Looking good, guys, right? So this means we're going to basically make a request to this backend endpoint. Check out. Oops. Little typo, thank you. So check out, create checkout session. And then here we're going to pass in two variables, the items and the email, right? So this is super important right now. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and make this request. And then what we're going to say is when we get the request, how do I access those items that I passed through, right? To access those items, what we can say is we can go ahead and it's actually part of the request.body. So I can do something called destructuring. So I can say destructure the items and the email out of, what's up Cesar Dev, good to see you here. And then I'm going to say out of the request.body. So this is going to go ahead and pull out the items and email from a request.body. It's the same thing as saying .items and .email. Okay, it's the same thing as doing that, but we're pulling it now into two variables that I can use further down. Okay, so this is how I get those little variables. And to prove that that works, what we're actually going to say is console log items. I'm going to say console log email, right? And I'm going to show you how you can test this one out yourself. Right, so now this is getting triggered off when we hit create checkout session. Create checkout session is triggered on the on click, right? Thank you, Ajit. Appreciate that, dude. He goes, joining Amazon as a software developer. Thanks to your video. That's incredible, dude. Amazing stuff, right? Thank you, Knock, as well for explaining that. Okay, so I'm going to go to the Amazon. So I'm going to go to my home screen, and then I'm going to start adding some items to my basket. Let's go ahead and add a few things. Click my basket, and I'm going to go ahead and open up my terminal. Okay. And then what I need to do is obviously I need to sign in first. So I'm going to go ahead and finish my sign in flow. So let's go ahead and quickly sign in. So I'm going to go ahead and just knock out my sign in. It might have to do a quick two-factor authentication. Okay. Right. We're almost done. And then, yes, I do have to do my two-factor authentication. Okay. Better to be safe than sorry. If you don't have two-factor authentication, make sure you start enabling it. Okay. So awesome stuff. So now I'm actually logged in. So I'm going to go ahead and add a few things. There we go. Add, boom. Click on basket. And now we can see proceed to checkout. So I want you to pay close attention to the server that's running here, right? So this is where our server stuff is running. So the logs on the back end actually appear here. So if on the front end is my checkout and the back end is my checkout session, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and click that button. So I'm going to click the button and that should trigger create checkout session, which should go ahead and make a call to the back end, right? And then what I'm doing on the back end is I'm just console logging. So here I should see a console log when I click proceed to checkout. Okay. So boom, there you go. I get a bunch of stuff, right? So if you see this, I get the email, which is the second part, console log email. And then on top of it, I get all the items. Well, these are two items. So you see it's an array with an object inside. So these are the items. They're getting pushed over to the back end. Okay. Very important stuff that you understand this right now. Okay. So that's looking pretty good at this point. You can test it like this. Great, great, great. Okay. So let's go ahead and then close our terminal. So that's a good way of debugging if you ever get stuck and, you know, if you're not sure that you're pushing it to the back end correctly. All right. And somebody just says I completed the LinkedIn clone. That's awesome. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is we actually have to prepare our items. So we can't just push in the items over to, you know, Stripe. It doesn't just accept any old items. They have to be of a certain format, because imagine, think of it this way. If Stripe just accepted everyone's items, how the hell would they know where the name is, where the title, or the price of that object, or where it is in that object that's getting passed to them? So it has to be in their format. Okay. So I'm going to show you a nice little transformation that you can do, which turns the array that you just saw into the one that we need to transform for Stripe. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that, how you can do that right now. So the way that we transform this is we say const transformed items, and this is the part where most likely I can guarantee someone is going to write a little typo, even me, all right? And this can cause a few problems. So really take your time with this right now, okay? So here I'm going to go ahead and say, Enrique, what's up? He goes, hey, Sunny, thank you so much for your tutorials. It's much better than all the courses I got. Dude, I love that. Make sure you're there tomorrow because I have a big surprise for you, man. It's the first thing in the description. I will see you then, man. All right, so here I'm going to say items.map, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and say, so open this up, and I'm going to say for every single item, I want to do a return. So be careful here, guys. So you see, I have a closing parentheses, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in parentheses and then add in curly braces, and then I hit enter. Okay, so this is doing something called an implicit return. Okay, so what we're going to do here, Jay says intense, is getting intense, guys. So here what I'm going to say is price data. So this is actually what they expect from us. Inside the price data, so what we're doing is we're going through every item and I'm basically returning it back in the object. So what I'm doing is I'm taking every item and I'm kind of like shaping it into the item that Stripe expects and then throwing it back into an array, okay? And that array is called transformed items. So now I'm going to go ahead and say the price data, and I'm going to say currency. is GBP. Okay. You can change that to whatever you want, but make sure you keep it consistent. I'm going to do lowercase GBP, sorry. And then here I'll say product data, right? So if you do change that number, that value, remember it has to sort of, you know, be allowed from Stripe's end. Okay, so GBP is one of them, USD is another one, and I'm not sure about the rest, but you know, you just make sure you check up the values. I think it will come up if you actually input an incorrect one. The next bit of information we need to do is product data. Okay, so here what I do is I actually pass in something, and here I actually need to do two things. First, I'm going to put a name. Okay, so I'm going to say a name is going to be item.title. Okay, and I see people asking, is it possible to add in this, add in that? Guys, make it work first, and then, you know, commit your code and then kind of try and improve it. Because trust me, if you mess up something here, you might get stuck in a little bit of a rabbit hole. Okay, so we've got name, item, title, and then here I'm going to say images, colon, and then here we actually need to pass in an array, but I only have one image. So it's going to be literally an array of one thing. So here I say item.image, because images expect an array. Okay, so that's how we do that. And then what I'm going to say is I'm going to go outside of my product data. Okay, so outside the product data, and then where we on the same level as the currency. So in fact, what I could do is I could put it up here. I can say unit underscore amount, right? Now in Stripe, they take every currency in its sub currency, which means that if I'm talking about pounds, it's going to be in pennies. And if I'm talking about US dollars, it's going to be in cents, right? So what you can typically do for pounds, you take your total and you times it by 100, because there is 100 pennies in 1 pound, right? So whatever your sub currency is, you just have to do the conversion. In our case, it's pretty simple. You just go ahead and you simply go ahead and times it by 100. So here we say item.price times by 100. Okay, so this is looking pretty good, guys. And then what we're going to do is we're outside the price data right now. Okay, so outside the price data, what we can do is, and I can actually put this above here, to be honest, so it'll make it easier for you. We can say description, right? So it's going to be the description, it's going to be item.description. Okay, and then we're going to have quantity, and this is going to be 1. Now, if you have implemented, right, you know, that sort of, you know, the quantity different sort of selections, this is where you have to be careful. Right now, I just have a flat array, and even if I have 2 items, they're going to be separate objects in that array. Hence, each one will have a quantity of 1. If you add some logic in, which groups things together, make sure you account for it here. Okay, so just take that and bear that in mind when you're doing this. So here we have a quantity of 1, so it'll map through every single one. And this is the new shape that we need to have our sort of items in. So transformed items now should look great, right? So this should be in the perfect shape that we expected it in. That's pretty good, right? So the next step is I need to communicate with Stripe to say, okay, here's my items, create the checkout session, okay? Juliana says, I'm amazed by this project. Wow. Thank you so much. KJS says, thank you so much, which this tutorial can change our life. Thank you so much. That's honestly amazing, right? So here what we need to do is we need to go to, and we need to say const session equals await, and here I'll say Stripe dot checkout, which is the checkout sessions that we're using. So this is all checkout sessions. So if you noticed here, it was accepting a payment and it was checkout sessions. So add a checkout button and so forth. So that page that you're looking at right there, that's a checkout session, okay? So here we say stripe.checkout.sessions.create, okay? And then here you pass open parentheses and then open the curly braces, okay? Now, once we've got this open, a few details need to go inside of here, okay? 300 likes, that's what I'm talking about. We're not even talking about likes, but with that said, a little bit of a water break. Amazing stuff, guys. Thank you so much. I love it when we hit the milestones. It helps pump us up. Have a quick water break and let's do this together. Wow, it gets super thirsty when you're concentrating. Right, let's carry on, guys. So const session equals await stripe.checkout.sessions, right? So now what I need to do is go ahead and actually pass in a few different things. Now, if we go down here, I think they have it, so you can see roughly the same formatting and so forth. So you can see here, right? So they have an example at the bottom of the page where you can see a few different things that they're expecting, right? So something is payment method, types card, and then you've got a success URL and a cancel URL. Now think about that very carefully, right? What's happening there If you come out of the checkout session, so this session, and you complete your payment, it will redirect you from Stripe. It needs to know where to go, right? If you don't tell it where to go, how the hell does Stripe know where to put you, right? So that's the success URL. The cancel URL is if anything goes wrong or if you cancel it. So if you click back, where does Stripe send you back to, okay? So really be careful about that. Upbeat, please don't spam, but because you've been awesome so far, dude. But the link for the website is, I think if you ask for papareact.com, or just, be careful with that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add in the following. So the first thing we need to add in is the payment method type, right? So types, and this is an array, and we're going to accept card payments, right? So you can go ahead and look into what else you can add in, right? So that's the first thing. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pass in the line items, right? Line items is all the objects that we are going to be having on that order, right? So in this case, we've already transformed them already for us. So we can go ahead and just say line items is the transformed items. Really pretty simple, right? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to say mode is payments. We have to tell it a special mode, and this mode is we're trying to make a payment, okay? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and give it a success URL, okay? So we're going to say success underscore URL, okay? Now here, what I'm going to do is use backticks, right? So this part is very important as well. This success URL, think about it, it changes, right? So if I'm locally developing yeah, that is a huge, I'm just trying to check what's going on here. Yes, you can actually go ahead and change some of those things, but we're going to touch about the security things. That's a different topic, right? But right now it's the success URL. So if you have your if you're developing on a local environment, it's going to be localhost 3000 / API, blah, blah, blah. But if you deploy it, it's going to be like sunnysanga.com /. So we need a place to set our host URL. So the way I've done it is if you go ahead and open up your environment variables, Roshan says, can you share your playlist? If you sign up to the Papa Fam newsletter, you will get the playlist, yeah. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go down to our environment file. And inside of here, I've got the host. You see this? Right? So this is very important. So here it's localhost, but on Vercel, when I set it, it will be the deployment URL. Very important to check that, okay? So this will be the deployment URL, okay? And so now we've got backticks. We're going to go ahead and say process.env.host, okay? / success. So we're going to create a page on our site called success. And I'm going to go ahead and create another one. Whoa, Ryan Devaney. What's up, man? He goes, definitely the best coding channel on YouTube. Just wondered what your computer specs are. That's incredible, dude. Thank you so much for the $5 donation. My specs on my computer is a MacBook Pro 16-inch 2020. But I'm waiting for the M1 16-inch. There you go. Right? But it's a fully maxed out 2020 at the moment. You need it when you're coding at this level, right? So not coding, but when you're live streaming. 320 likes. Let's keep on pushing, guys. I wonder if we can hit 400. Let's keep going, right? Okay. Now what we're gonna go ahead and say is William Gecko. Keep on going, man. I think I pronounced that wrong. Sorry, dude. Here we'll say cancel URL. Okay. This is the next step. Backticks, and then again we say process.environment.host, okay? And then we say / and here I'm going to say checkout, okay? Because if I cancel, think about where I came from. I came from the checkout page, okay? So we're going to go ahead and check that. Rickard says M2 MacBook. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, whenever that comes, I'm grabbing it. And then what we're going to do is we can also pass in something called metadata. So this is just additional data that we want to pass along. Okay, so what I'm going to pass along is the email that we passed along with the request body, because you see what we're doing here. This is very important, guys. This email that we pass through as the metadata is extremely important because it's going to be part of the crucial operation which allows us to push information in from that Stripe page into the correct place in Firebase. Okay, so that's very important for later on. The metadata over here going into the metadata down here. Right, Gwen says M2. Who knows? It could be M1X. Who knows? All right, let's get off Apple topic. Here we say images. I'm also going to pass in the images. But for images, you have to be a bit more careful. So I'm actually going to, I only want the item image, but I want it all as an array. Okay. So what I'm actually going to say is JSON stringify, right? Well, actually, I'll show you a simpler way. I'll say items.map. For every single item, I'm going to return the item image. And now because we're sending this across the internet, basically I'm going to simplify my life. I'm going to say stringify, and this will go ahead and actually just basically make the array one massive string. That's the simple way of doing it, right? So it's going to go ahead and do it. And then that makes it easier when you're sending it across the web. And then the final part is deliveries, okay? So obviously we're building like a shipping website. So we need to go ahead and actually allow for deliveries. And if you don't include anything additional here, it won't ask you for the, like the collection or the address information. So what we need to do is we need to add in another line called shipping underscore address underscore collection, right? And then we do colon, open curly braces, and let's fix that. And then basically inside of here, you have a key called allowed countries, right? So allowed countries. And then basically you include an array of the countries that you allow. Now, again, these are explicit, like these are special values. And if you do enter an incorrect one, check the logs, because it will scream at you and it'll give you a massive list of the ones you can use. The ones that I'm going to say is GB, so Great Britain. I'm going to say US, and I'm going to say Canada. Okay. So Great Britain, US, and Canada for this example. Okay, so we have these three countries that, let's say, we're going to ship to. And then the final thing is going to be like, how about if we want to add in shipping rates? So, like for next day delivery and so forth and things like that. So this is actually a very cool feature that you can do pretty easily inside of Stripe. So I'm going to show you how you can do that right now as well. So the way we can do it is if we go over to our Stripe. Right, so we're heading back over to Stripe. Now we go down to, I believe it was, let's just double check. It's products. Yep. So you go into products and you click in shipping rates. Okay. So right here, you can see I've already created one, but I'm going to go ahead and create another one as an example. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and create a shipping example. And Mayuri says, before coming across this channel, I used to think how to kill my Sundays and Saturdays. Now I'm utilizing my weekend. I love that. I love that comment. Thank you so much, dude. I really appreciate that one. Right. So here I'm going to say, let's go ahead and say something like it's going to be $6.99 for next day delivery, and it's going to be GBP. Okay. There we go. $6.99. And let's just say the description is going to be next day delivery. Let's just say next day shipping, we'll say. Yeah. And you can see now this is how it will come across on the bill. Right. So you can see next day shipping, and you can even add in between 1 and 3 max business days, or however you want to do it, right? So there you go. And obviously this is just the billing process. This doesn't actually ship anything, right? This is how you bill someone for it, right? So now what we're going to say is click save. Okay. And this is what we get to. Okay. So now we've just created a shipping rate. So what we can do is we can click on this over at the top, right? And I can click on copy. So this is the shipping rate ID, or you can get access to it over here, right? It's either or. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And now what I'm going to do is come over here to the Stripe checkout session and go to and add something called shipping underscore rates. And you can see that, this is actually takes an array. So you can add more than one shipping rate, and then you can go ahead and toggle between which one you want. Now I'm going to go ahead and just copy and paste my shipping rate inside of there. So now by default, they're going to get charged next day delivery, right? Because that's the only one that I've actually given them. Okay. So this is looking pretty good, right? Looking pretty nice at this point. So this is actually everything that we have and need to get this up and running. So everything looks pretty good there. Hopefully we haven't got any errors in our code, but that's pretty good. So make sure you take your time with that. And then, like if you come into any errors, like I said, you can console log and check the terminal to see what's coming out. Okay. That's your way of debugging. The final step, whenever you make any API call, okay, you need to send a response back, because think about it. We're making a request to a backend API, right? API is just like some kind of endpoint that's on a server, and it needs to reply. Otherwise that's just rude, right? As in, you need to reply when you have API calls. As in, genuinely, it's not rude, but you know how it is, right? You need to reply to that. So you have something called a response. Okay. So here I'm going to say res.status, right? 200, right? Which means 200 is okay. A 404 is not found. 500 is server error. You get used to these codes, right? So here I'm going to say return a JSON value. And then we're going to include some value here. And here what we need to do is we simply have to pass back an ID. And the ID is actually something called session ID. Okay, so here I say session.id. So this is what we're going to return. Think about what's happening here. I told you that we're going to create one of those checkout pages. So the session pages. So one of these pages, remember, we pass a bunch of information over, we give it to Stripe, and it gives us back the ID. Now I can redirect the user somewhere, right? So what I'm going to do is hit save on this file, go back to my checkout page, the front end now, and this is where that call was happening, right? So checkout session now should actually receive some kind of ID, right? So what we need to do on the front end is go ahead and actually, let's say we need to redirect the user or customer to checkout, right? And in fact, it's going to be the Stripe checkout. Okay. So here, what I want to do is I'm going to say const result, because we're going to get some kind of result out of this. And then I'm going to say await, right? Stripe dot redirect to checkout. Okay. And what I do here is I pass in an object, and part of that object, I say the key is session ID. And then the value I'm going to give it is going to be the checkout session. And remember, as part of the response, it's not just ID. You actually have to say .data.id. Okay. So it comes back inside of a data variable, because that's where the request actually happens. Okay. So we need to go ahead and do that first. Now, guys, remember, if you're enjoying this right now, and if you're learning anything new at all, smash the thumbs up button and subscribe. Let me know if I'm doing a decent job, or it's half average, or it's just crap. Let me know, guys. Yeah. And hopefully you're enjoying this right now. Let's keep on going. And remember, sign up for tomorrow's session. Going to be huge. The biggest 5-day finale that we have done. First link in the description. Let's carry on, guys. So this will go ahead and redirect the user to a checkout page. Okay. So once this is done, what we can actually do in the meantime is I can actually go ahead and say if there was a result. So if for any reason result had an error, right? So you see, that's why we captured it as a const there. Then I can go ahead and alert it on the screen, right? So there could be a number of reasons where it could go wrong. And then you can do dot message. Okay. And that's the message that comes back. Cool. This is looking great. Okay. And then because this is a one-liner, you can actually go ahead and just simple do a one line and say if alert. There you go. Cool. So think about what's happening now. So it's going to go ahead and make a request to our backend. Our backend creates a checkout session, comes back to the user, so the front end, and then the front end redirects them to the checkout page. Okay. So at that point, it's in Stripe's hand, and then it's down to the success and cancel URL. Razul, what's up, man? He goes, dude, you are doing an awesome job. Thank you so much, man. Okay. So guys, quick water break, because God damn, it really is killing me today with the water. I don't know why. Okay, let's carry on. Amazing stuff, guys. Let's go ahead and smash the thumbs up button. I wonder how many likes are away from 400 right now. All right. Shafi says, Papa React, you're definitely doing a great job, man. Thank you so much. Honestly, really appreciate you. All right. So now what I'm going to do is go to my checkout page. And what I want you guys to do, because we changed a bunch of environment variables, done a bunch of stuff, just for safety, go ahead and restart your server at this point. Make sure, do your little check. Make sure your environment variables are being loaded back in. 355 total, amazing stuff. Let's push to 400, guys. Awesome stuff. All right. So now you can see we get a bunch of Node.js warnings. Don't worry about that, because we haven't set a few config stuff. Don't worry. JIT engine, perfect. Okay, nice. This is good. Hide that. And now what I can do is go ahead and add a few items to the basket. Okay. Now guys, moment of truth. Moment of truth. You know what? Let's get real intense right now. All right. So we've done a bit of work here. We added in our first API endpoint. I clicked on a few things, so now I'm hoping to do when I click this magic button is that it goes ahead, creates a request on our backend. So it's going to make a connection to our API backend, and it's going to pass the information. Then we're going to create a checkout session on the backend, return it to the front end, right? And then from the result, we get an ID. And then from the checkout session, we get an ID that we can use, and we're going to redirect the user there. So if we've done it all good and we haven't messed up anywhere, we should be redirected when I click this magic button. Okay. Hopefully. All right. Now let's go ahead and click the button. Oh, okay. Oh my God. There we go. Nice. Look at that, guys. That is awesome. Check that out, guys. So hopefully you get to this point as well. And yeah, That's incredible. We have the items already in there, and that was the first time bang as well. Amazing stuff. So you should see your store name at the top, and it should say test mode. And basically, if you want to switch it to the live mode, remember in test mode, it won't charge any card, but no card will go through unless it's like a specific card. So you want to do 42424242. That's the test card details. But in this case, what we can do is I can go ahead and enter a bunch of details in. So I'm going to go ahead and enter in a bunch of random stuff here. So you can say a@a.com, and then even for the shipping address and all that stuff, you can go ahead and add in some random stuff. I'm not going to show it on the screen right now in case autofill comes in. So I'm going to go ahead and pop in some details and then pop in a few card details. And this is what I do when I'm testing, right? You can literally do the same thing. I just do this. So 424242, that's the magic card details that you want to use. And these are known as the Stripe details, okay? So the sort of Stripe checkout details. Now, when I click pay, it's going to do one of two things. It's either going to throw me back to our checkout page, in which case something went wrong, or it's going to redirect me to /success, right? And because we don't have a page called /success, I should see a 404 from Next.js. Okay, so I'm going to hit processing and wait for it. And this is £195. Okay, so remember that £195.23. Right, so processing. Ooh, suspense. Okay, went through 404. Nice, right? And this is because it threw us back to the success page. That's awesome. Let's make sure it actually went ahead and processed the payment. So I'm going to go back to my store, go to payments, and we should see £195. There you go. Boom. And here's the items in Stripe. So you see we sent the items over to Stripe. We even had the next day shipping of $6.99. Amazing stuff. Smash the thumbs up button if that is damn awesome, because that is pretty powerful. Didn't take long to set up, and you can imagine how powerful of an app now you can go ahead and build. Like, that's honestly an e-commerce. Like, that's the start of an e-commerce app right there, right? You can go ahead and do that. Netflix, we did the subscription side of things. Here we did the payment side of things. You know how your boy does it. We cover all the grounds on this channel. And yeah, I hope you guys like that, right? Let's go and get back into our flow state. Let's go. It worked, right? That's awesome stuff, right? So now we need to build the success page. But just when we thought that was it, right? Just when we thought that was all, right? So what actually happens here is I'm going to go ahead and actually draw this one out for you guys. If my mouse decides to work. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this one out for you. Okay, so ignore the 404 for now, but I'm just going to draw on this page. So here on the left-hand side is our app. Okay, so this is the checkout page. Okay, let me freeze it. Here on the left-hand side is our checkout page. Okay, so this is the checkout page that we just went ahead and, we had the items in the basket. We went ahead and hit proceed to checkout. So there was a button somewhere which said, oops, let me change the color a little bit. There we go. There's a button somewhere which said proceed to checkout. Okay, cool. So when I hit this button, right? So when I kind of click this button, right? When I hit that button, then it went ahead and made a request and it sent me to the Stripe checkout page. Okay, so it sent me to some other additional page. Now this page was known as, oh god damn it, I'm not showing my page. Sorry guys, I made that mistake. Okay, here's our checkout page. Okay, here's the one that we had, and then here you can see it had a proceed to checkout. Okay, so we hit the proceed to checkout button, and then what we did is it redirected us over to Stripe. Okay, so it redirected us to a Stripe checkout session. Okay, so this is a Stripe checkout session over here, right? So we entered in all of our card details. We done card details, and then we got a nice little check, and then it redirected us over to the success page, right? So this is back on our app, and it redirected us to another page, and this is back over on our application. So technically it's over there, but so this is our app again, and this is going to be the /success page. Okay, so it's going to be /success. Okay, so this is what happened. We had our checkout page, redirect us to Stripe, hit the success, and all good. Now, how do we know, right? Because all it did was a redirect. So we do not actually have any information on our end as to, like, did the payment, yes, for the user, it went through, but I want to go ahead and actually kind of push that order into a database somewhere, right? So imagine our database, we have a magic database over here. Right, so let's just say we have a Firebase database down here, right? What I ideally want is I check out, I do a Stripe checkout session, it pushes a value into the database when it succeeds, and then it redirects the user. That would be the ideal situation, okay? And guys, yeah, Narc, very good point. Just so you know, the redirect status code is 302. That's a very handy little point, right? So that would be the ideal situation. We check out, hit a Stripe checkout session, we push the value into Firebase database, and then we get redirected to the success page, okay? But what's actually gonna then happening is Kieran just said, oh, nice, that's awesome stuff, thank you. Right, so now what's actually happening is what we actually want to happen. What is really happening right now is Stripe proceeds to, it completes its checkout, and it does actually fire off a bunch of these things called events, right? But we're not doing anything with these events, and we're not listening to these events. Now, this is something called a webhook, okay? So these are called webhooks. And now whenever Stripe does anything, whenever it creates a customer, whenever it, creates a new payment, whenever a payment succeeds, it fires off these events into this webhook, right? Now, right now, we don't have anything listening on the webhook. So it does nothing with that information, right? So now we are building out our first webhook. So get excited. This part is actually very intricate. Take your time with it once again, because it's very important that you get this bit right, okay? Now with this webhook, we can have a bunch of information being passed to it, right? So when this kind of, process happens, we can get some information from the webhook, right? So why is that so important? Because you see how this is the missing piece to pushing information into the database. We cannot simply go to the /success page. We don't have any information once we're over here, okay? I don't have any of the order information. And you might be thinking, yeah, but you can go ahead and, pull it from your store or local storage. You should never do that because, you don't know the state of what happened at the checkout session. So Stripe actually handles this for us. We just need to go ahead and provide some code that can go ahead and work with the webhook that goes ahead and does what we need it to, okay? So this is the ideal scenario that we're going to build out. We have a checkout, we hit proceed to checkout, takes us to a Stripe checkout session. We fill out our details, hit, complete or proceed, or proceed to payment or whatever it is, and then it's going to go ahead and trigger a webhook on behind the scenes, and then inside of that webhook we're going to go ahead and push this order into Firebase, and then it redirects the user to success, right? Where it actually does both of these at the same time, okay? So let's build our first webhook, okay? Now in order to mimic a webhook, right, because remember these are real events that we need to listen to, we can't just tap into wherever Stripe is doing their magic and go ahead and, use their webhook. Like, as in we can't just, use their stuff. We have to kind of use a local emulator when we're developing this stuff. So what we need to do, Jason says 12 more likes to hit 400. Let's go, guys. So what we need to do now is use the Stripe CLI, right? So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how we can use something called the Stripe CLI to actually go ahead and set this up. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the Stripe CLI, and then here, this is again the page that you want to find Stripe CLI over here, and you can see there's a bunch of stuff about webhooks and all sorts, right? They have a nice little GIF that you can check and watch. But what we're going to do is you've got a bunch of different steps as to how you want to install your Stripe CLI. Okay, so right now here, what we're going to do is we've got Homebrew as an option. So if you know what Homebrew is, so 1 minute, guys, I want to answer this one question. We're not using any Blaze Plan stuff today. This is completely free. You don't need any of that stuff, right? That was Netflix. This is different, right? So you can install it using Homebrew. If you don't know what Homebrew is, do not worry, right? But what I would recommend is I'm going to show you how to do it with Mac, okay? So for the Mac, what you want to do is download the latest kind of, edition. So I'm going to go ahead and click this to go ahead and open this up. And in this case, I have a x86 64 bit Mac, not the new Apple RAM one. So I would click this and download it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and download this file right now. Okay, then what I want to do is, you can see it says unzip the file, blah blah blah, and then it says optionally install the binary in a location where you can execute it globally, right? So there's a few different ways. You can literally use any of these methods to install it, right? Khalid says, woohoo, my payment was successful, amazing stuff. Awesome. So what I want you to do is I want you to copy this, right? And then what I want you to do is open up your terminal, right? So open this up, and then I want you to go ahead and type in CD and then copy that in. So CD user local bin. And then I want you to press open dot. Okay. Now check this out, right? Then once you've got this up, you can see I've already got my Stripe in there. But what you can actually do is, what I would want you to do is, you won't actually have Stripe in there, right? So what you would want to do is go ahead and open your downloads. I'm just going to make sure I haven't got anything in my downloads, right? So what you want to do is open up your downloads. You'll have a Stripe folder inside your downloads. Unzip it, okay? And then once you've got that sort of file selected, what you will have is the following. Okay, so I'm not going to show everything in my downloads. Let's just go ahead and show this bit. So what you can see is right now I'm showing my downloads at the bottom here. So you'll see a Stripe download, right? So you have a little kind of file. You guys should be able to see what's going on there. But that's basically, you want to drag that into that folder, right? And then you can go ahead and see it will say, do you want to replace it, whatever. In this case, I'm not going to go ahead and replace it, but you guys will go ahead and add it in, okay? Once that's done, you've just installed Stripe onto your machine as the CLI command, okay? Homebrew is another easy way to do it, okay? So definitely make sure you're checking out. Blue Octopus Cohen says, Sonny, you're one of the main reasons I stay hydrated. Amazing stuff. Boom! 400 likes. With that said, guys, quick water break. Amazing stuff. Energy is firing today, because honestly, on a day 4 build, usually I see such a decline, but you guys are killing it. So keep it up, guys. Nice. Jason says, I see 401 likes. Exactly. All right. This is looking good, guys. So now what we're going to do is we need to log in with the Stripe account. All right. So to test that this all worked, open up your terminal, simply type in Stripe. Okay. Now, if you see that, you're in. It means you've set up your CLI work correctly, because it says the official command line tool to interact with Stripe. Nice. So then what we're going to do is we're going to type in Stripe login. Okay. And then hit enter. And then this is the part you have to pay attention to. It says your pairing code is blah, 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 like some random few strings. So I'm going to hit enter to open the browser. Okay. And then my browser just opened up on the screen. You see this one here? So I've gone ahead and entered in a passcode. And oops, let me go ahead and pop in a correct passcode right now. Okay, nice. Okay, I entered in the wrong passcode. 1 second, let me go ahead and do it again. So you're gonna do Stripe login. You're gonna open up your browser, and then I'm gonna go ahead and enter in the passcode. Okay, awesome stuff. So what you should see is this. You should see allow Stripe to access your account information. Now, I have made this mistake before, so definitely check this one out, right? Do not click like the wrong store, right? Because I did it and I was wondering why the hell I wasn't getting the right events, right? I'm telling you because I made this mistake, right? So I've got my Papa Amazon demo here, right? So you want to make sure this matches whatever you see in your command line. So in this case, it says Trump Fresh Champ Golden. So you can see that's authenticated, right? So now what I'm going to do is click allow access. Done. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. I screamed into the mic, right? So that's amazing stuff. And then what we're going to do, dude, I now saw 43,200 on YouTube, 200 followers in 1 hour. Honestly, dude, it's crazy, man. We're growing at such an incredible speed. This is the Papa Fam. This is what we're about. All right. So look, you see it's authenticated. Now, this is the incredibly important part, right? Actually, no, not yet. This is good. Okay, so you see this, right? It says the Stripe CLI is configured with the account ID. This key will expire in 90 days. Okay, so remember that. It's just a handy thing. Oh, it does have a limiter on it. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Good stuff, man. Yeah, I heard it in my own mic. I kind of was like, oh, that's awesome. Right, so now if I can click this, and then we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and go down. It says run your first command. So you can do that stuff, but we're not going to do that, right? The bit that I'm going to do now is take you back over to the code. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and run this emulator. Like I said, we're going to emulate to get, to develop a solution to this. We're going to fake listening to these events, right? So we're going to actually, well, we're not actually faking it. We're forwarding the events to our local development, right? So what we actually do here is what we're going to say is Command J to open up our server. Okay. And then inside the correct directory, what you need to go ahead and do, guys, is just go ahead and type in. So I'm going to just check my command. It was actually listen here. So it's here, Stripe listen -- forward to, and then it's localhost. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this in. 1 sec. Let me make it clearly for you. Okay, this one here. Stripe listen -- forward to localhost 3000 and then API / webhook. Now we don't actually have our webhook stuff coded up right now, right? But this is what we're gonna have, okay? This is not pre-recorded, no. So Stripe listen forward to, right? So you can see this, everything looks pretty good, right? But if I try and run this now, you see what's going to, it says getting ready. Your webhook signing secret is this, right? But we don't actually have an API webhook yet. So we need to create that API endpoint. But this is the important part, this little secret, okay? So this secret, we're going to copy it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this secret. And then what we want to do is go over to our environment file. Now this secret, bear in mind, okay guys, this secret has a tendency to change because it's local development, right? So if the terminal session changes or if it dies out, that secret might change. So just make sure that that variable is what you expect it to be, okay? So you're gonna go ahead and copy that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and go to my environment files. And this is where, again, just don't rush, take your time, okay? Open your environment files, yeah? And then I'm going to go into where I've got the Stripe signing secret. I'm going to paste it in. Okay, so you see how now we've got all of our credentials nicely looking pretty good over here, right? So we've got the signing secret, which means we've just changed our environment file, which means I am going to have to restart my local server. So this is looking pretty good right now. So I'm going to go ahead and close my server and run it one more time. Sunny is interactive. Nice. No, I love to interact with you guys. Honestly, it's what makes us have this kind of community spirit. That's what's awesome, right? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and create. And you can see, don't worry if you see all this stuff for now. That's fine. You're going to get, this is kind of two listeners. We've got a server running and we've got this stuff happening on the left. And again, I haven't got my JIT. Sort of make sure if you don't get your JIT, get your JIT. There we go. Okay, looking good. So now what I want to do is create the webhook. Okay, so this is the bit where I need your full attention, guys. Full attention again. And you guys are doing awesome. Honestly, I'm really proud of everyone watching right now. The retention is incredible. And I know this bit is a bit tricky, but you guys are doing an incredible job of staying with it, right? So let's carry on. So what I'm going to do here is create another file inside of my API, not inside the auth, inside of API. And this one is going to be called Webhook. Now you can call this one whatever you want. I'm just going to call it Webhook for simplicity. But webhooks technically have more than one event that gets fired to them, right? So, but what we're doing is we're just going to call our endpoint Webhook, and we're just going to listen to one specific event, which is when the payment checkout succeeds, right? But know that you can have different endpoints for the different Webhook events that get fired off, right? Okay, let's check this one out. Anton says, should I set up additional security software for like web application firewalls when setting up? No, you don't have to worry too much about that. The main thing is programming practices, like your environment variables, stuff like that. Don't expose your secrets, basically. That's going to be the main thing to remember. Okay. Remember, these guys who are doing Stripe and stuff like that, they are the ones who have to make sure that that's all secure, right? If they don't have a secure thing on their end, and then they've got a big problem. But make sure when you do your deployment, try and serve your websites on a HTTPS. So make sure you've got a security certificate on your website, right? So make sure it's HTTPS, right? Jason says, Sunny, these challenges are doing great. Learning from to-do list tutorials gets prepared after 100%, dude. I agree with you. I hate them. So now what we're gonna do is in a sort of traditional Express app, you have app.get, app.post, right? When you're using Next.js, the way that you check if it's get or post is you simply say if request.method is a post request. So this is how you do it inside of Next.js, right? And then if you want to check for get as well, you can do you can check for the get requests. So rather than like the Express way of doing app.get, app.post, and so forth, in this case, this is how you do it in Next.js. Okay, nice. Okay, so this is looking pretty good at the moment. I think we're almost at 500 likes. So let's keep pushing, guys. Oh, just as I said that, the song came on. Nice. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and pre-fill some of the things at the top that I need to focus on. Okay, so at the top of the page, I need to do a few things. Now, just bear with me, okay? So we're gonna need a package called micro. And I'm going to show you why in just a bit, but I'm going to go ahead and we've got our forwarding happening on the right. So I'm going to cut that for now because I don't need it just yet. Okay. I'm going to say yarn add micro. Okay. Yarn add micro. And then what we're going to do is this is going to go ahead and install it. And then I'm also going to need something called Firebase admin. Okay, so yarn add Firebase admin. And this basically is because, remember guys, anything inside of the API folder is on the back end, right? So technically think of it this way, anything inside the API folder is running Node.js, not normal JavaScript, right? There are differences, right? Don't worry, they're very similar, but there are differences, which means that your dependencies, so if you try and use the regular Firebase dependency inside of the Node.js files, you're gonna notice you're gonna get crazy errors. It doesn't work, right? That's because you need to use the Node.js dependency, right? There are two separate dependencies. So the Firebase admin dependency is ran on the server side because the server side is secure, right? Your user isn't on the server. They're not sitting on top of the server. That's secure, hidden away behind, you know, your Vercel deployment. So that bit's safe. So what we can do is the Firebase admin, we can install it, and then we can actually interact with our database through that SDK. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do all of that now as well. Okay, so what we need to do is, the first thing I'm going to do is say import buffer from micro. This is going to be used for later on. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and prepare ourselves for now. Don't worry, you're probably wondering what the heck is that for. I'll explain that one in a bit. And then what we're going to say is we're going to say import all as admin from Firebase admin. Oops, Firebase admin. There we go. Okay. And then what I'm going to say, one second, guys. Okay. Nice. So now what we're going to do is we've imported everything as admin from Firebase admin. And then what I'm going to say is let, right? So we've got our sort of admin, but what we need to do is we need to authenticate our admin. So the admin technically has access to everything. Okay. So it actually has access to everything. Okay, nice. So what we're going to do now is, but we have to give it the special permission so that it can go ahead and actually go into the database and do what it needs to do. If you can't just say, you know, as the admin, it doesn't know how to get access to your account. And you're probably wondering, yeah, but we did a Firebase config over here. That's different. That's the front end. This is the back end, right? So what we need is something called we need a special JSON file, which gives us access to all of this information. So we're going to go ahead and get access to our Firebase sort of, you know, database right now. So I'm going to go over to Firebase right now. So we're going to go to over to our console, and this is the console that we saw yesterday. Now what you want to do is click on project overview. No, it's not this one. It was in, where's it gone? Firebase database. I think it was in project settings. Yep, it's in project settings. So you want to click the little cog, and then you want to click on project settings. Cool. And then what you want to do is go to service accounts. Okay. Very important step, service accounts. Nice. And now what you want to do here, guys, is you want to go ahead and you see this is what we're about to do right now. So we've just imported Firebase admin. We did that over here. So we imported everything as Firebase admin. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we need to get a service account. So we actually need the service account.json file. Okay. So we need this special file over here. So what I'm going to say now is, and then we can initialize the application with it. So I'm going to click on generate new private key. Okay. So I'm going to click on generate key, and then it's going to basically go ahead and download a file. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that file right now. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and actually grab the file that it downloaded. So if you didn't see what I did, I clicked generate new private key and it downloaded a file. Okay. So I'm going to quickly grab that file right now. 1 second. And that is simply like, it's got some squiggly, you know, weird naming to it, but it's .json. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that into my code. So you guys can't see my screen yet. I know. Don't worry. I'm going to pull that next to my Firebase.js. Right. So give me 1 second and I will show you guys the screen. Do not freak out. Okay. Awesome. Nice. So now what you can do is you can get this screen. Okay. So you should be able to get this. This was the long, like, you know, weird JSON that you're going to get, right? So what I want you to do, right? And don't worry if you're late to the party, you can go ahead and follow this afterwards. But what I want you to do now is I want you to go ahead and rename this file, right? Because it's a bit messy, right? I'm just going to say permissions.json. That's a bit nicer, right? This is going to be permissions.json. And this file is going to be the sort of, you know, the magic to letting us, you know, have access to that backend database, right? Great. Okay, so we have our permission JSON file. So now what I'm going to do is go over to our, so we have that already set up. Now I'm going to go back into my webhook. Now inside the webhook, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say const service account, okay, equals require, and what I'm going to do is pass in the directory for, so I'm going to go upper directory, upper directory, upper directory, till I get to the permissions.json. Okay, so you see what we're doing? We're actually going to go ahead and get that file, right? So we're going to go ahead and get that file. And you can do an import statement. I'm showing you both here. So you can do import from, but in this case, I'm showing you how to do it this way. And then I'm going to say const, and we need to initialize our app. But on the back end, remember, you need to be careful of double initialization. You don't want to initialize your app twice, right? So I'm going to show you how to protect against that as well. So here I say const app equals admin.apps.length, right? So this means if there is no app already initialized, then I want to go ahead and initialize the app. So I'm going to say admin.initialize app, and I basically pass in an object. And inside that object, I say, okay, for the credential, I'm going to go ahead and say admin.credential.certificate, and that certificate that I'm going to use is the service account one. So I'm using this, okay? And then because we're doing a sort of, you know, an optional here, ternary operator, we're going to go ahead and say, or we're going to use the admin app that was already configured. Okay, so I've got my rocket working here. One second, let me close that. There, right? Or we're going to go ahead and say, well, I've done some silly mistake here. One second, or admin app, admin.app. There we go. Hit save. Nice, right? This looks good at the moment. Okay, so we've got the app, and then we've got, and remember, if you're running into any issues, just take your time and go ahead and, you know, we can debug it afterwards in Facebook, right? So that's what the Facebook group is all about. So we've got the app, and we're initializing it if there is no app already initialized. Otherwise, use the app that has been initialized, okay? So this is looking good at the moment. So the next step that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and say, let's go ahead and say at the top, we're going to go ahead and pull in our Stripe. Right, so we've got our Firebase. This is basically secure. Let's go ahead and say all of this is actually secure a connection to Firebase. Yeah, from the back end. Okay, that's that bit. And then what we're going to do here is actually go ahead and connect. A sort of, let's go ahead and say establish connection to Stripe. So what I'm going to do here is go and say, Walter says, juicy content. Thank you, man. Here we're going to say const Stripe equals require Stripe. So I'm going to use that Stripe dependency that we had earlier. And then as a second argument, I'm going to say process.environments. We're using our environment files, Stripe underscore secret underscore key. Okay. So I'm using my secret key here. Okay. So it's looking great. Guys, I think we're almost at 500, right? Almost at 500 likes. Someone let me know where we're at right now. And quick little water break. But this is fun, right, guys? We're killing it today. All right, let's keep going. Okay, so 452, 455, nice. Let's keep going, guys. 500, let's push. I swear to God, I just want to get the number higher and higher. Let's keep going, guys, okay? So we've got the Stripe being initialized over here. And the next thing I want to do is get the endpoint secret. So here I'm going to say const endpoint secret. And this is going to be the endpoint secret that when we set up our listener. So remember that emulator, right? So I'm going to say process.env. Don't worry, Juliana. Take your time and debug it after the session, okay? Stripe signing secret, right? So signing secret. And remember, this is an environment variable that we set up earlier, okay? So then we can go ahead and check that. And then what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and say, this is where we actually go ahead and sort of do the next more complicated part, okay? So guys, this is where I want you to, you know, take your time with it, right? Really take your time with it. Oh, Doomsweb, thank you so much. $5 donation. It says greetings from Germany. Appreciate you, dude. Thank you so much. You're donated through a different link, but thank you so much, man. All right, let's have a look. So now we're gonna go ahead and say, if the request method is a post, now this bit, guys, just stick with me on, okay? So this bit is basically part of verifying. What we need to do, right, is whenever that webhook gets triggered off, right? So remember the webhook that we spoke about earlier? So this one right here, whenever this webhook, so remember we check out, we have the Stripe checkout session, we get pushed to the success page, but then a webhook gets fired in between that. Whenever this happens, we need to verify that, and to say like, how do I know that this event is from Stripe, right? So they use something called certificates, right? So we need to verify that this is actually a genuine event. Otherwise, anyone could just, you know, send an event to us and then, you know, like cause havoc, right? They could literally send an event in the perfect shape and format, and then they, you know, all sorts of craziness can happen. So what we're going to do now is we're going to say const session equals event dot data, dot data object. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. The first thing we need to do is say const request buffer. Okay, so what we actually need to do is const request buffer equals await buffer request. Okay, so this, again, just stick with me on this. Okay, so we're pulling in a buffer from before we had this micro package. And this is because what we need to do is generate something called a certificate. Okay, so we actually need to kind of get all these, we need to consume the stream, so that request, as a buffer of information. So that's for anyone who wanted to know that. Otherwise, don't worry. Bravo says he has a good hair pie. Thank you so much, dude. I do cut it in, I'm not gonna lie. Right, so here we say const payload equals request buffer dot string. Okay. Oh, we say toString. And then what we say is const sig, right? And this is basically going to represent a signature. And then here we say rec.headers. So basically just copy this one out. Rec.headers Stripe signature. Okay. Now, if you are wondering, how the hell is he finding all this stuff? What's going on here? Like, he might be just making this up. I don't know if he's, you know, talking crap. Then basically what you can do is go ahead and check out the Stripe page over, where's it gone? Over here. Oh, basically you can go ahead and check out the documentation and type in webhook. And then you'll see connecting webhooks and all this other stuff. And this is basically where you'll see it. You'll see loads of, you'll see a few different, yeah, here you go. So you see, like, this is basically what you're going to get. But I've done a modification of it, which will make it easier to work with Next.js. Okay. So we've got const payload, and this is where the signature is built. And then we're going to have this empty variable called event, because we're going to use this event afterwards, but it's a let because I'm going to change it. Okay. So I'm going to change this one in a second. Right. So let's continue on, guys. Moving on strong. We're going to go ahead and say try, because this is a bit where it can fail. All right. And this is basically what we're doing here is we're saying verify that the event posted came from Stripe. So remember that webhook, just verify that it actually came from Stripe. And the way we do that is we say event equals stripe.webhooks.construct event. And then here what we do is we pass in three things. We're going to pass in the payload, we're going to pass in the signature, and we're going to pass in our endpoint secret. So this is actually going to be, you know, the sort of emulator that we're using. Okay. And then we're going to say catch the error. If there was any errors for whatever reason, I want to catch it. Right. So we got a lovely message here. Temur Beck. He says, bro, that is amazing. Thank you very much. Appreciate you so much, dude. So here what we say is I'm just going to do a very simple return here and say return res.status of 400. And then we'll say send a message saying webhook error. And then I'm just going to go ahead and say error.message. Nice. Okay. And then what I actually want to do is I want to kind of have some feedback. So I'm going to say console.log. I'm just going to go ahead and pop in an error. When it comes back, I'm going to say, whoa, error. And then I actually just want to have the error message in case it kind of, you know, freaks out. I want to see it in my terminal. Okay. So we're going to verify that the event came from Stripe. Okay. So guys, remember, this is a bit where it gets a bit tricky. Don't fall off. Do not quit. Hit the like button and just keep on smiling. Don't worry. It's a learning curve. It's intense. Okay. So this is where we verify that the event came from Stripe. The next thing we can do, right? If it gets past this phase, the event is going to be legit. All right. So what we now need to do is handle the special, it's called a checkout session completed event. right? And think about where that's coming from. That's coming from that minute that we go ahead and complete the Stripe checkout session, it fires off that checkout session completed event, right? So I'm going to go ahead and check on that right now. Okay, so here I'm going to say if the event dot type, right, is equal to checkout dot session dot completed, right? So if the if the event type is equal to checkout session completed, then what I want to do is go ahead and say const session equals event dot data dot object. Okay, so I'm going to pull out an object from it, right? So we've got the session actually here. And then what you want to do is you just want to fulfill the order, right? So think about what this means, right? So you want to fulfill the order at this point. So once we go ahead and verify that all of this is legit and we have the order content, so the session, I need to fulfill the order, which basically means put it inside of a database. So that way you can show your user that it's there. You can push that database, you can show it on a screen for, the department inside your company, which is responsible for, shipping the actual product. You need to store the information somewhere, right? Yes, it's stored in Stripe, but you need to store it as well. And we want to store it somewhere so that way we can actually go ahead and have it here. Now, this is one way of doing it. You can go ahead and pull it straight from Stripe, but this is just an example of how we're going to do it. So we're going to fulfill the order at this point. Okay. Fuzzy says, I got a job after subscribing to Sunny. Thank you so much. I love that, man. I love that so much. Gamer Boy says, thank you so much. I appreciate you, dude, for watching. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to create a function. We're going to simplify this a bit. We're going to create a function outside of all of this called const fulfill order. Okay. Fulfill order. Okay, so I'm going to say fulfill order. And this is going to be an asynchronous function, which takes a session as an argument. Okay. So it's going to take a session as an argument. And then what I'm going to say is, we're going to do a console. You can do a console log at this point. So I'm just going to put a bit of code here to say fulfilling order. And then you can go ahead and comment out the session. You guys can have this uncommented if you want to, okay? So that way you know that you're hitting this point, right? So I would recommend that you honestly put that in when you're starting to do it. I'm not going to put it now because it's going to spam my terminal, right? But you can pretty much put that in. That's what helped me out in the beginning when I was kind of, doing it. Tech and App says, hello, what's up, dude? Nublian says, just finished day 3 homework and joining day 4. That's what I'm talking about. That's the energy I want to see. Well done, dude. So now what I'm going to say is I'm going to go ahead and do return app dot. Remember, we initialized the app up here, right? We initialized the app over here. So now I'm going to say return app dot. Ammon says, loving the build. Awesome stuff, dude. So we're going to go ahead and connect to our Firestore DB right now, okay? But before we do that, we're going to hop over to Firestore and just make sure that we've set it up. So we're going to go to Firestore database. And then I'm going to click on create database. Click in start in test mode. And obviously you can extend this build afterwards if you want to add in your security rules. I'm going to click enable. We can only fit so much into a session. So I'm going to make sure that we can just go ahead and do it. Ishan says, you're the man, Sunny. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate you. Right. Now check this out. Now wait for this. Okay. Now while that's loading, this can just not waste time. We're going to do app.firestore.collection. And basically the way I'm going to structure the DB is we're going to have a collection of users. Okay. And then the document for every user is going to be, we're going to determine what document we're going to push this data into. And what data am I talking about? I'm talking about where to push that order information into. Okay. So we're going to have a /users, right? So it's going to be /users, and it's going to be session.metadata. So remember we pushed in metadata earlier into our order. That's where we're grabbing it now. So you see how it's important now, right? And then inside of that, we're going to say, go into the collection for that user, go into their collection of orders. Okay. And then after that, I'm going to say go into the document and the session ID. Right, so what session ID am I talking about? This session ID. So this Stripe checkout session. Okay, so go into that person's session ID, and then we're going to go ahead and set. Right, so set means I want to go ahead and push some information into that location. Right, so into that document. So I'm going to push an object in, and what I'm going to say is I'm going to push in an amount, and the amount is going to be the session amount total. So we do get information about that checkout session. So I'm just pulling into that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide it by 100, because remember, we used the sub currency. So I need to get it back to the regular reading currency when I push it in the database, right? So obviously if it was like £10, it would be times 100 in the checkout session. So I want to kind of get it back to our normal sort of £10 understanding, right? So there we go. And then here I'm going to say amount shipping is going to be the same thing. Okay. So this one's actually a bit more interesting. So this is a bit more nested. This one is session.total_details.amount_shipping. And then again, that's in the sub currency. So we go ahead and change it like so. And then remember the images, we done a JSON stringify. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and say it. So Lucas says, yo, Sonny, what's good? Are you planning to make any short format videos in the future? Yes, dude. In fact, after this challenge, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to focus on short formats and the kind of, more consumable bits of content. This was kind of, a big bang to get everything rolling. And then it's going to be also focusing purely on the course. All right, so images, JSON.parse. And then I'm going to say session.metadata. So make sure you subscribe, guys, if you want to see that. Right, session.metadata.images. Okay, so now that I have that, this will give me the images back. So JSON stringify, the opposite is called JSON parse. It gives us back the JavaScript object. And then I'm going to go ahead and say timestamp. Okay, and I think we've broken 500 now. Right? I think we have, right? And I will be bringing in TypeScript, yes. Not today, but in future builds. And then I'm going to say the timestamp, and this one's very important, guys. So pay attention to this one. Here, what we do is we say admin. Okay, so I say admin.firestore.fieldvalue.server timestamp. Okay, and this basically is going to go ahead and get a time. Right now, the reason why this is really important is because I'm in London. You guys might be watching from anywhere around the world, right? We need to have a synchronized time. Right, so the way we can do that is if we all use the server's timestamp, then we're synchronized and we just render it out in our local time. That's the way we do it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to use the server timestamp, and that's how you get it. Okay. Banshee says, you're my first React teacher, Sonny. I got my first job on Upwork. Thank you. That's awesome, man. Well done. All right. So this will go ahead and push it into the DB, and then I click then, and I'm going to go ahead and do an inline function. And basically, this is just for my sort of sanity. I'm going to say console log, and I'm just going to say, okay, if it was a success, I'm going to say success. And then I'm going to say order. And then I'm just going to put the session ID. So I'm going to say order session ID has been added to the database. Awesome. Right? So this is the fulfill order function. Okay. So this is looking really good. Okay. So let's go ahead and Shub says you earned a subscriber. Awesome stuff, man. So I'm going to go down now to fulfill the order. Okay. So here what we do is we say return, and then I'm going to go ahead and say fulfill the order, and I'm passing the session in as an argument. And the session, you see how we got it from the event that was dispatched. What event exactly? Remember, I'll keep on saying it. We created a checkout session, and then we entered in all the payment details. That dispatched a checkout event, which is which hits this webhook, and that's where we do this fulfill order stuff. Okay. So now what I'm going to say is I'm going to say dot then. If it was successful, then I'm going to say then. I don't want to do anything with the response, to be honest. I don't care. So I'm going to say then I want to go ahead and say res.status of 200. So 200 means okay. All right. Otherwise, I'm going to say catch. And I'm going to say, get the error and do something with the error. So I'm going to go ahead and say, get the error. And then with the error, I'm going to return. I'm going to say res.status. I'm going to say res.status of 400, which means there was an error. Send and webhook error. So I'm going to say webhook error. And then I'm going to pass in the error.message. Okay. Guys, I know that was a lot. I know that was hefty, but we are almost there. Okay. Now there is one more final step to making this webhook work. So typically All of this code is for a normal Next.js kind of endpoint. Whoa, we broke 500 likes. Let's go. Thank you guys. That's incredible. We're going to have a water break in just a sec, but let's carry on, right? So let's carry on for a little bit and then we'll have a water break. So here we had this is a typical Next.js kind of, endpoint, right? But sometimes we need to, not handle it in the Next.js way. So what you can do in Next.js is you can configure each endpoint with a config file, and you can change that config file by doing this. Now I'm going to change the API settings here, and I'm going to disable something called the body parser, right? Because what we actually need to do here is when we're handling a webhook, we don't want something called a body parser, right? Now, if you know what a body parser is, then great job. If you don't worry too much. But in this case, we just want to have the entire sort of, request as a stream rather than a sort of parsed object. So that's the kind of quick way to think of it, right? So now I'm going to go ahead and hit comma, and then I'm going to say external resolver. So this one you can just go ahead and copy. External resolver is true, and that just simply means if we're basically going to send a request, this is being resolved not by us but by Stripe. So when this sort of, when we go ahead and get an event and we sort of respond to it, this is actually going to be externally resolved. It's not handled by us, okay? Crow just says, if I can summarize the entire video, pay attention. This is hard stuff. Yeah, guys, it's not hard. Honestly, it's just practice, right? I'm not going to say anything's hard. It's just take your time and practice, right? So this is looking pretty good, right? So now we need to test it, right? So we need to test to see if this is working, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get our environment set up. So I'm going to hit Command J. I'm going to run our local emulator with Stripe listen. So remember this one, Stripe listen -- // localhost 3000 API webhook. Hit enter. It says getting ready. Okay, give it a second. Okay, it says the signing secret is here. You want to make sure that signing secret is the same. So in our case, let's go to our environment variable and let's just double check R4N4E. Yep, there we go. Similar, must be the same, right? So this is now running. Okay, so pay attention to this server. Okay, now this is where we need to go ahead and check it out. So I'm going to go to my local host, and obviously we haven't built out the success page yet, but that doesn't matter at this point in time just yet. What I'm going to do now is we are logged in, so I'm going to add items to the basket. I'm going to click my basket. Okay, great. Now I'm going to click proceed to checkout. Now we should see some kind of event here when I create this session. So if I proceed to checkout, okay, so can you see what's actually happened here? It says payment intent created. So you can see this is correct right now because it's starting to pick up those events. Remember I said as soon as you do anything in that sort of, it's not just the checkout complete, it's also any other event hits this webhook. Okay, so this is showing us that it's coming through. Okay, this is coming through right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill out these details. So I'm just going to hide my screen quickly while I fill out these details. Let's go ahead and just chuck in some random details. And you might see an error where it says, I'll show you in a sec. Okay, this is looking good. Okay, so now let's go back to our screen and let's have a look. Okay, so you might see this error where it says failed to post, context deadline exceeded, client timeout. Don't worry about that. Honestly, it's okay. I've tested it thoroughly. It's all right for now. It's working, right? So what we're going to do now is I'm going to click on pay. So pay, when I click pay, a few things are going to happen. Okay, it's going to, process a payment through Stripe, which should go ahead and trigger a webhook to go ahead and get fired off. Then I'm going to go ahead and fulfill the order, which means I should get a message in here saying, everything, it should go ahead and add that sort of order to the Firebase database, and it should say success. Order has been added to DB. I should then see an order over here in Firebase, which means we've fulfilled our order. Okay, so now I'm going to click pay, and let's just see. Hopefully first time. Okay, charge succeeded, payment intent created, checkout session completed. So you can see it says checkout session completed, and now, oh, there we go, guys. Look on the server, success. So look, you see the webhook fired off, and on our server, it hit the server and it said order has been added to the database. Okay, and then it redirected us to the success page, which we haven't built yet. Amazing. This is looking so cool right now. Okay, let's go back and refresh and hit the like button. There we go. That's how you do it. That is how you do it. First time. that was intense, but we did it. Smash the thumbs up button, and now we can see papareact.team. That's my email. Orders. You can see the order come through, the amount for the order, the shipping of $6.99, the images for the items, and the timestamp. Wow. Right? This is incredible. Guys, remember, if you're making it right now to this, whether you're watching this from a replay or whether you're sticking it through from day one, keep on going. You will get so much satisfaction when you get all of this working and it's on your portfolio. JM Ninja says, works for me also first time. Nice, dude. It didn't even work for me first time. I had to take ages doing it. So that's incredible. Natasha says, hey, let's go. We got Hayo says, grateful. Thank you so much, guys. This is awesome. This is awesome. Right, let's carry on. And I think we're near 600 likes. I don't know. I can't see my likes right now. Okay, but now we've got the orders in the database, which means we are fulfilling orders, right? So obviously this is running, and again, don't worry if you get this error, where it says error refer to post, context deadline exceeded. Do not worry about it, right? We can go ahead and check that one out. All right, 524, guys, hit that up. Let's go to 600, right? And then what we're gonna do now is have a quick water break, and then we're gonna continue on. Avnish is working as well. That's so cool. We are killing it, guys. You know, I've ran out of water. Switch water bowl. Okay. I drink so much water, guys. So if you guys should too. Okay. There's no way I could focus if I don't have my water. Okay. So let's go ahead and hide this out. So now I'm going to use Diraj says, please create a Telegram. We have a Discord, dude. So check it out. And we have a Facebook, which is crushing. Right. So now we have this looking great. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create the success page. Okay. So let's create the success page. Let's get back into React. Let's get the energy back up and get hyped up. Right. So this is where we get back into our fun flow and we are used to this stuff. Okay. So we're going to close out the API for now. We're going to create a new page called success.js. Right. And guys, we're succeeding right now. Right. We're doing well. This is good. Let's carry on. Seeing you from Chile, dude. Hey, let's go, man. Nice. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and build out the success page, right? So this is the success page right here. And what we want to do is go into this and hit, we're going to say the background should be gray. So BG gray 100. And then we're going to say this should be the height of the screen. Oops. Okay, and now we should be able to see this page will actually not be a 404 anymore, but it'll be a gray page. Okay, and if you don't believe me, I'm gonna make it green just for, you know, just for the hell of it. There we go, light green. All right, so it's gray now. Nice. So now what we're gonna do is go ahead and say we're gonna import our header. Right, so we're gonna have our header component like so, and we should see our Amazon header component pop in. Boom. That's what I love about reusable components. It just, the page comes together so quick because you just reuse your components. It's just incredibly powerful, right? So we've got the main popping in over here. And guys, I want to do a reminder before we continue on. If you haven't already, subscribe firstly, because I don't know, there's like 60-70% of you which aren't subscribed. Please subscribe. It's going to help the channel grow. And also guys, first link in the description, sign up for tomorrow's event. It's going to be so much fun. We have a full training. Be there. First link. Check it out. Right. So now I'm going to go ahead and we've got the main. Now this page right here for the success page is, if I go ahead and try and get a demo for you, let me go ahead and actually try and get you a quick page example. Okay, so we want to get this page built up, which says, thank you, your order has been confirmed. So this is what I'm trying to build right now. Okay, so what we want to do is we have a sort of a main, and then inside of that, I'm going to have a div, right? But the main section right now, remember, all of our pages so far have been following a max width principle. So it's going to be a max width, and we're going to say the screen should be a large, so slightly smaller. So you can see like a max width of large. That's why on a small screen, it's taking the full width, but on a large screen, it maxes out. And then we're also going to say MX Auto to center the contents. Awesome. And then inside we've got a div, which is going to contain everything that we see. And then I am going to have a check circle icon, which is going to represent this. Right. I'm going to import it like so. Good stuff. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do a 3/4 split. There we go. And it helps us out. Okay. Now inside of here, guys, I've got a few different sections. This itself is a div. Right. And then we've got the underneath contents. Right. So inside of this, I've got another div. And inside of here, I've got a circle, the check circle icon. Okay. And this is going to have a class name. And this is going to be a green color. So I'm going to say text is green because an icon is actually a bit of text, really. It's like an SVG. But you can style it with the text principle. Okay, so then you can do that. Okay, we've got our tick. Nice. And now what I'm going to do is go ahead and say H1. Nice. We've got H1. Guys, your retention is incredible. I can't believe how many of you fight through this. And then we'll say your order has been confirmed. Boom. Nice. Okay. H1 class name. There we go. Great stuff. And then here I'll say text is a 3XL. Tailwind is just so clutch. Honestly, it comes in so handy, right? So then this div is going to be a class name. It's going to be a flex div. We're going to center the item. So item center. And then I'm going to go ahead and say space. Oops. Space between the X components. So you see right now they're touching too much. I want a space of 2. I want a margin and bottom of 5. So that way whenever we introduce something next to it, it's going to have a bit of space. Now for the parent div, right, we're going to go ahead and drop the class name. And here we're going to say flex. I want to use the full width. So I'm going to say flex column because by default it will use up the full width. And then we'll say give it a padding of 10 because right now it looks too cramped up. So hit a padding of 10. You can see it looks a bit better. And I want the background of this container to be white. Okay. Nice. Great. We got Qatar in the house. What's up? All right. This is looking good. Looking good. And then we've got the div. Nice. And then outside the div, I'm going to have a P tag. Inside that P tag, I'm going to have a thank you message. So you can go ahead and have a thank you message or whatever you want to have. I've got a thank you message here. Okay. Looks great. And now you can see, look, on a small screen, on a big screen, looking pretty nice. Same thing over here. Awesome stuff. And then outside the P tag, I'm going to have a button. What's up, Priyanshi? Good to see you, man. And then here we're going to say, go to my orders. Okay. Then this is going to have a class name of button. Because remember, we have our predefined styling utility. We created our own custom utility. We've been reusing it throughout the days. So that's where that's coming from. And then margin top of 8 to push it from the P text above it. All right. Looks good. Okay, so the final step, guys, is that when I click this button, I want to get redirected to the My Orders page. Okay, so it's going to be /orders, right? So all I need to do is do a redirect on this click, right? And I wonder how many likes we're at, guys. Are we hitting 600 yet? I think we're close. I think we're damn close, right? So when I click this, if I want to do a redirect, how do I do that? I say on click, and then I'm going to say inline arrow function. But before we do that, let's actually go ahead and import the router. Okay. So here I'll say const router 540. Let's keep going, guys. All right. We've got the router. That's actually crazy. I didn't actually think we would even hit that today. This is the final day is usually the hardest one, right? But let's push to 600, right? So we've imported this. Nice. We've got the router here. And then what I'm going to say is on click. I'm going to do router.push. Oops. We need to do inline function. I'm going to router.push and I'm going to push the orders page. So /orders. Awesome. Nice. Looks good. Okay. So when I click this button, technically now, it should actually say a 404. Okay, great. Because I don't have that page built, right? So that's correct. I don't have this page built. So that's what we expected. So what I'm now going to do is go ahead and create an orders page. We are getting there, guys. We are moving now. We are moving fast. So what does the orders page look like? The orders page looks something like this. Oh, please sign in to see your orders. I forgot to sign in. Let me go ahead and quickly sign in. All right, so I'm going to quickly do my sign in. I have to keep on doing this. It's super annoying. This is my machine. This is not how the typical behavior is. And this is because I haven't got Chrome open, because Chrome kills me when I'm live on the stream. Right, quick two-factor authentication. Okay. Pranab says so clean. Which headphones are those? I think they're Audio Technicas. I can't remember the name, to be honest. Thank you so much, Bivishan. Great job, bro. Thanks for the precious effort, dude. Thank you so much. So this is going to be the orders screen, okay? This one right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and build this out now. And this will be interacting. This is going to have a combination of our Firebase information, and I'm going to pull information from Stripe. So I'm going to combine the best of two worlds, and then I'm going to show it on the screen. Okay. Remember, guys, if you're enjoying what you're seeing right now, you know what to do. You know what to do. Subscribe if you haven't already. Okay. So underscore RFCE. We're going to change this to a capital. There we go. Orders. And now let's go ahead and see what we're doing. Okay. So for the orders, I'm going to change the main, the div. Sorry, this should be a div. I'm going to firstly pop in the header, and then hit save, and then let's refresh our page. So we should see a header now. Nice. So we are currently on the orders page. Okay. This is looking good. Oh, I like this one. Nice. Right. And then what I'm going to say is a H1. Okay. And then here I want to do anyone from Norway here. Oh, what's up? Norway in the house. Right. So I'm going to say this is going to be a main tag. Sorry. It's going to be a main tag. This is going to be the body, right? So this is what we're building right now, guys. Whoa, Aman Singh, 10 euro donation. Hey, bro, I just want to say thank you for your amazing work. I've been contacted by many companies here in Paris by improving my coding skills, doing your projects, and following your videos. Mercy. Dude, thank you so much. I appreciate you. You're definitely a core part of the Papa fam. This is why we do what we do. Thank you so much, dude, for the donation, and I wish you the best, man. You know, keep in the community and keep doing your thing. That's what makes the Papa fam the Papa fam. I love that comment. Thank you so much for that beautiful donation, dude. Right, so guys, we're gonna build this out right now. We've got a H1 tag, and then inside the H tag, I'm gonna say your orders, okay? And then the div over here, I'm gonna say the class name is gonna be max width screen large. Remember that we said we want it to be a max width, right? We're going to constrain the width. So max width large. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and say MX auto to center it. Nice. And then I'm going to say a padding of 10. Okay. This is looking good, guys. And then for the H1, I'm going to say a class name of text 3 XL. Okay. Hit save. Denmark and Norway in the house. Oh, this is cool. International, guys. We've got text 3XL. Now I'm going to hide that one. There we go. Looking good. And then I'm going to say border bottom, margin bottom of 2, padding bottom of 1. And I want to give it a border yellow. Oops, border yellow of 400. Okay, looks good. I'll wait for a sec. Ah, there we go. Look at that. Look, it's clean. Look how nice that the little things in front end that make it work, you know. All right. So let's carry on. So now we've got the orders looking great. And then I'm going to go ahead and say if there is a session. So you see how before it actually said, please sign in to show your orders, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do the same principle. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to go ahead and pull my session in. Remember how we done that in the previous previous video? We used the use session hook. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that in right now. And this will give us the user's logged in state. So now what I can do is I can say if there is a session, then I want to show H2 tag saying orders dot length. Right, orders, oops, no. Actually, you know what? Before I do this, I'm going to show you something. We're actually going to pass in orders as a prop here, right? So we're going to do a server-side render to prefetch the orders, okay? So I will show you that in a sec, but we haven't already done that yet, okay? So right now, all of these orders are prefetched. So this is server-side rendering, okay? So it's going to do some prefetching here, so that way there's no, there's no lag or anything like that. Almost to 600. Let's keep going, guys. Okay, so here I'll say, if there is a session, then I want to render a H2 tag, and that H2 tag will say, let's just say some orders, right? So in this case, let's just say like X orders, because this needs to be replaced with a number, right? Otherwise, if you're not logged in, it's going to say H2 and it's going to say, please sign in to see your orders. Hit save. Okay, so now it says X orders, so it doesn't actually have the orders in there yet. Okay, and then what I need to do is I need to go ahead and render this out. Okay, so we're going to prep it. So the div that containing all that information is going to have a class name. The class name is going to be a margin top of 5 and a space between all the Y components of 4, and that gives all of this spacing between all of this stuff. Okay, right, nice. So now what we're going to do, guys, is we need those orders. So how do I get them orders? I do a server-side render. Okay, so in order to do a server-side render, remember, a server-side render is very important. It's before the user hits the page. Remember, they make the request, it hits the server first. We can get a bunch of information at this point and we can pre-render the page up, right? So what's actually happening is we're going to fetch a bunch of like data beforehand, and then we're going to render the page, and then the user delivers it. So by the time the user sees the page, it's fully rendered with the information that's needed. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so I'm going to say export, and we're going to have a quick little water break. I'm feeling it. All right. Nice. Let's keep going. Okay, so we're going to say export async function. We're going to say get server side props. And this gives us something called the context. Okay. Now, the context, we're going to need to do a few things here. So I need to have access to Stripe, and I need to have access to the user's authenticated state, right? So this is where Next.js came in and a few other things. JM Ninja says get server-side props. Yes, you guessed it, dude. Right, so I'm going to say const Stripe equals require. Remember, anything in the get server-side props is basically Node.js. Okay, so remember that. Anything in the get server-side props is basically Node.js, okay? So you need to have your node dependencies here. So I'm going to say const require. Well, it's similar. I mean, let's just kind of think about it very similar. Okay, ignore that. Keep it simple for now. Say const stripe, and then here I'll say process.env.stripe secret key. Okay, nice. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and say we need to get the users logged in creds, or the credentials. Yeah. Oops. Yeah. Nice. Get. Nice. And then what we're going to do, we're going to say const session equals, and rather than using use session on the front end, on the server render, we say get session. And all we need to do is pass in the context. The context contains the request, the response, all that other stuff, right? Nice. So now what we do is we say if there is no session, then what we do is we actually end it there. We just say return a bunch of empty props. So we just say return some props which are empty. Okay, we don't want to continue on with execution if the server, if it's empty. Okay, so what I can do is I can simplify this to basically go ahead and do that. No, actually, let's keep it nice and neat. There we go. Okay, so if there is no session, we're going to end it there. Otherwise, if there is someone logged in, then let's go ahead and continue on. We're going to say const. Pranav says, let me go fill my bowl. Exactly, dude. Stay hydrated. Const stripe orders equals await, right? Remember, this is an asynchronous function, right? So now we're going to say await db. So I need to import the db from our local Firebase file. Okay, so now we need to go ahead and set up our Firebase file. Right, so remember I said we set up a Firebase file before, but now I'm going to go ahead and set up a Firebase file on the front end. So let me go back to Firebase, and this is where we left off yesterday. Okay, so we need to go ahead and initialize the app on the front end. So we say, remember, we want to double check in case we have a double initialization. So we say if there are any apps already, right, then if there is not any apps already, then we want to initialize the Firebase app. So we say initialize the app with the Firebase config. And remember, we got the config yesterday from the Firebase dashboard. Otherwise, if it was already initialized, we say get firebase.app. Okay, looking good, right? Thank you so much, Sachin. And then here I'll say const db equals app.firestore. So I'm basically getting access to the DB here. And then I'm going to do an export default this time because I don't actually need anything else here. So there you go. I've got my DB coming from my Firebase file. Okay. And then I'm going to go back to orders. And now inside of my orders, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and say await db dot, and I'm going to go and access that collection. So remember the collection that we were pushing information to? Now I'm just fetching it, right? So I'm going into it on the front end now, and I'm fetching this. So I'm going to say, go into the collection of users, go into the document for the session user.email. Oh, session dot user.email. Oh, God damn it. What am I doing? Session.user.email. Yeah. And then we're going to go ahead and say, let me toggle word wrap so you guys can see. There we go. Okay. So session.user.email. And then I'm going to go ahead and say dot collection of orders. So we're going into the orders, and I'm actually going to order them by order by, and I'm going to order them by the timestamp, right? And this is a built-in function in Firebase. So we're going to order by descending. So the most recent orders are going to come to the top. Guys, we're almost at 600. Razul is right. Let's get to 600 likes. Let's keep pushing, guys. This energy is insane today. Let's keep going, guys. Okay. And now instead of on snapshot as to what we used to, we're going to type in get. Okay. So we're simply going to get the information here. Okay, so this will go into that place and get the information for us. So this will get all the orders. So these are the Stripe orders from the database. And then what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to go ahead and actually get the orders from. So this is the Stripe orders from the Firebase database. So I'm going to say Firebase DB. And now I'm going to go ahead and get access to Stripes. So this is Stripe orders. And what I'm doing is I'm getting information from both. And then I'm going to go ahead and, you know, present it on the front end. Okay. So, oh, thank you. Alt Z. I didn't know that. I'm not going to press it in case it's not, but you never know when you're online, right? Here I'll say const orders equals await. And now this is a clever thing we're doing, right? When you have an array that you want to go through, right? Because we fetched a bunch of Firebase documents, but now I want to go through every single Firebase document and get the sort of corresponding Stripe information from Stripe API. So I need to go through a loop and I need to make a request on each one. But then, so that's actually going to make a promise for each one, and because each one is an asynchronous request. So I wrap the entire thing in something called a promise.all, right? And that means that it will wait until all those promises are resolved, then it will proceed. Okay. So really important stuff to understand that. Real Chaos Gaming says, seriously doing a great work, dude. Watching yours and Coz's videos since last week and learned lots and lots of stuff. Thank you so much, dude. I appreciate you, man. Here I'll say await promise.all, open parentheses. And here I'll say Stripe orders dot docs dot map. And I'm going to say map every single asynchronous order. Okay, so I'm going to do a parentheses. Map every single asynchronous order and return parentheses, curly braces, right? So we're implicitly returning an object, right? And I'm going to go ahead and get the following. So I'm going to get the order ID, and then I'm going to get the amount. So I'm going to say the amount is order.data. This is actually from Firebase, so amount. And then we've got a bunch of other information. So I'm going to go ahead and paste this in right here. So we've got the amount shipping, and we have the Fonta says, would this video be compiled into one video? I can do that if that helps, right? So we have amount shipping and images, and then I'm going to go ahead and say timestamp. Oops, let's go ahead and introduce timestamp. Now timestamp's an interesting one. So when you have a Firebase timestamp, if you're doing any kind of API work, it's not as simple as you expect to go ahead and send a timestamp across. You may send it across if you stringify it, but you lose the actual date, sort of the format of the object or the format of the variable, right? The data type. So what I recommend you do is you translate it to something called a Unix. A Unix value is simply like a string of, it's like a number, right? So it's like a long number, and I'm not going to get into how Unix works, but it's like you can convert that number back to the actual date, okay? It's to do with epoch and stuff like that, in case anyone cares, right? But here I'm going to go ahead and get the timestamp, and we're using something called moment, right? So what I need to do is import moment and install moment, right? So import moment, and I'm going to go ahead and do yarn add. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my emulator for now and just say yarn add moment. Okay, so this will go ahead and add a moment into my code. Good stuff, right? And then what I'm going to do is go back down and type in, I'm going to say items. Okay. Now for the items, what I'm doing is I'm opening up some parentheses, and this is because what I want to do is I want to fetch some information and then access it. And this is asynchronous. So it's a little trick for you guys. So I'm going to go to Stripe, go to checkout, go to sessions, right? Go to list line items. And this basically goes into a session and gives me the items that came back. And all I need to do is pass in an order ID, and I can pass in an optional sort of set of parameters. So this is an object afterwards, and I say limit 100. Okay. And then what I can do is after all of this, so outside of the parentheses, I can go ahead and say dot data. Right. So look what's actually happened there, guys. Okay. So it's a very interesting line of code, that one. Right. So, oops, let me go back to here. Right. Check this out. A day.js is better. Yeah, you can use either one or whatever you want, dude. So here you can say items. So this is actually an asynchronous call that will return some information, and then I'm accessing the data, and that's being mapped to the items key. Right. So very interesting one. If you ever want to do that, that's how you do it. Right. And then once all of that's done, so you see the entire sort of promise is done. So we access the Firebase DB, then we use those orders from the Firebase DB to go ahead and sort of, you know, add on to the information. So we now have the Firebase orders sort of, you know, souped up with the Stripe information, right? So now we have the line items as they actually came through, okay? So what I can do now is I can say return props, and I can say orders are going to be part of the props. And this will then mean that the orders come through as a prop. So now I have the orders through as a prop to our orders component, which means I can now map through the orders. Okay. So if you want to prove that this actually works, you can just go ahead and say console log orders. And then if we go ahead and pop this to the side, okay, like so, and we can go ahead and do an inspect. Nice. And then here I'm going to go ahead and say console. And now you can see if I go ahead and refresh, it says DB is not defined. Okay, so I need to firstly pull in my DB. So I'm going to go ahead and import my DB. If it's not there, just do a simple import to go ahead and pull it from your Firebase file. Okay, let's do another refresh. Cannot read property email of undefined. Okay, interesting. Let's check this one out. So session.user, get session is the context. There we go. So let's check this one out. If there is no session, session.user.email. Oh, thank you. We just got a Aman Singh. Oh, dude, another $10 euro donation. You absolutely deserve it. Papa Fam is on fire. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate you. Right. So this is a, thank you so much, man. That's so kind of you. Right. So this is an interesting bug. So we've got doc session user email. Okay, cool. So let's actually debug this a little bit. Okay. So we've got the session here. Oh, okay. Got it. The reason being is because await, we need to do await get session. Otherwise it was a promise it was trying to access. There we go. So you see debugging happens to all of us, guys. Okay, cool. So now what I'm gonna do is inspect. And then we're gonna go ahead and do console. And let's check out what we're actually getting. Okay, so can you see it's returning an array, right? And that array is the order. So it's actually might be hard to see, but you see that's the array of the order. And inside of it now, we have the images for the object. We have the items inside the object. So you see everything kind of came back as we wanted it to. Okay, so can you see now here? There we go. This is all the objects, and this even has the images and so forth. So now we have all the information from the orders that we require. And yes, I do use Chrome when I'm actually coding, but Safari is better when I'm live streaming. Okay. Otherwise, Chrome just kills my RAM. We all know that Chrome loves RAM. All right. So now what I'm going to do is underneath here, guys, I think I don't know how many likes we're at. Let me know. Someone let me know. Right. Wow, you're the best, honey. I'm from Ethiopia. Oh, awesome, dude. Thank you so much. Right. So here what we say is orders, and we're going to protect ourselves with optional chain, and we're going to map through. The optional chain just means that if it's undefined for whatever reason, it's not going to freak out. Right. And then here I'm going to say map through every single order and return something. Okay. in this case, we're going to return an order, right? So, oh, we're so close to 600, guys. Let's keep pushing. Right, we're going to return an order item. Okay, so I'm actually going to go ahead and create an order item. Oh, order component, sorry, order component, right? So I'm going to create the order.js component. Okay, order.js component, boom, underscore RFCE. Nice, right? Looking good, guys, looking good. And then now, well, we have the order. Let's go ahead and open up our order. Okay, and this order is going to take in a bunch of different props. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and actually say that it takes in all of these sort of props here. So ID, amount shipping, items, timestamp, and images. And then if I go back to my orders.js, what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to destructure. Right, wait for it. I'm going to so I'm going to destructure the item and pull out those values. Okay, so in the order item here, I'm going to go ahead and say, and right, give me 1 second, guys. I'm just going to do a quick thing. I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm just going to go ahead and do a little trick, which will free up some RAM. Okay, there we go. We are back. Nice. Good stuff. Okay, should have freed up some RAM. Little trick that we do. Right, so now I'm going to go ahead and do this. Boom. And then I'm going to go ahead and pop in. So let's go ahead and pop in. So we're destructuring the ID, amount, shipping, items, timestamp, and images. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, you see it says cannot find order. That's fine. We're going to import it from order. There we go. From our order component. Hit refresh. It says, please sign in to see your orders. Okay, that's fine. Right. So we can go ahead and sign in. Sign in with Google, and hopefully it doesn't ask me again. Okay, good. There we go. I'm gonna sign in. There we go. And this is X orders, cool. And now what I'm gonna do is we get the destructuring here, and then basically I'm just gonna pass everything through as a prop. And the key is gonna be my ID in this case. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and pass in those values as so. Okay, so there you go. Looks great at the moment. And then over here for the order, this is where we need to style it out. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and wrap. There we go. So we're so close, guys. We're so close to the end, right? The deployment step is another little bit tricky because we have to go ahead and just do a few configuration things, but otherwise do not worry. We will get there. Okay. So the final order component, right? So I'm going to import the things that we might need, right? So we need moment and we need currency. So I'm going to go ahead and get those. Moment and currency. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start styling it out. Okay, so the parent div is going to be, and this is going to be fun now because you're going to see everything pop up. It's going to be relative because I'm going to have something absolutely positioned inside of it. Okay, and then I'm going to say border and rounded MD. Somebody said your computer has virus. No, it's not virus. It's just intense on the stream. There we go. There we go. So nice. Then what we're going to say is we're going to have a div inside of this. Oh, we're so close. And then we got the div. Stripe is done. Yes, we've done Stripe. We've actually conquered Stripe already. So then we got this. And then we're going to go ahead and say, for this one, we're going to say class name is going to be flex. Items are going to be center. So what I'm building right now, guys, is this. So I'm building this top portion at the moment. Okay, so I'm building this top portion at the top, right? So this bit at the top. And what I'm actually going to do, if we go back to our orders, rather than saying X orders, I'm going to say orders.length. Hey, we beat 600. Let's go, guys. Anyone new who's watching, hit subscribe, hit the like button if you're enjoying what you're seeing, and hit that first link in the description and sign up for tomorrow's event. It's going to be so much fun. Wow, guys, it's been amazing so far. Look at this, guys, at one order. Nice. So we can see our order. And then here, I'm going to say div. And then inside this, we've got items center, space of X of 10, right? Padding of 5. And then I'm going to go ahead and do background should be gray, 100. And I want the text to be small. Oh, no. Oops. See, that's what happens when you start losing concentration. Then we're going to go pop this in there. And then I'm going to say the text should be gray. And it should be a shade of 600. Nice. So you can see right now we're building out the top portion. Okay. Water break it in a second because right now I can feel the bladder starting to creep. So here we're going to have a div. And right now you can see there's going to be 3 divs. It's going to be 1, 2, and possibly, no, it's going to be 1, 2, and then it's going to be p tags. Right. So we're going to have a div first, and this one's going to have a p, and this one's going to say order placed. I'm just going to do capitals. I'm going to say order placed. And it's going to be a class name of font, bold, text, extra small. Right? Salmon says, Sunny, your voice has so much bass that my table is vibrating on full volume. I love that. When I wake up in the morning, then it's like ultra bass. And then here I say moment.unix timestamp.format. So I'm actually going to go ahead and change that Unix timestamp, the one that we used when we were sort of pushing it through the API. And we're going to format it to the following thing. We're going to say ddmmyy. And this just gives it a date, which is a pretty format. You can change that if you want. Just check out moment docs, so the moment.js docs, and it will go ahead and work for you. Okay. So that looks pretty good, right? So then we've got the div done, and we've got another div, and this div is going to have a p tag, which is going to say total. And it's going to have a class name of, let's just say text extra small, and then we'll say font bold. Okay. And then we're going to have a p tag, and inside that p tag, I'm going to have the following. Okay. So I'm going to put 2 values in here. I'm going to have currency, and the first one is going to say amount, and the second one is amount shipping. And you can see, quantity amount, and the second currency is amount shipping. They're both GBP in my case, and then I'm going to have next day delivery next to this one. So you'll get this as the output after this. Okay. Looking good, guys. And then after this div, we're going to have the number of items. So I'm going to have this one, 3 items. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and say items.length. Items.length. Items. So I'm going to basically say like so many items. There we go. And for this one, I'm going to style it up a little bit different. I'm going to say the text should be extra small. Oh no, let's just say small. Let's say white space, no wrap. I don't want it to have a wrap around. And then, but from the small screens and above, I want the text to be extra large. Okay. And then I want it to be self end, which means it's going to push itself all the way to the end. Okay. And then I'm going to say flex 1. So it should take up the majority of the room. Oops. Wow. Flex 1. And I want it to do text right. So I want it to go be positioned to the right, and I want it to be blue. Once we go ahead and apply all this together, check it out. Ba-boom. There we go, right? So you see how it's smaller, but on the bigger screens, it goes into a bigger size. Right? It looks pretty good. Nice. And then we're going to have, underneath that, we're going to have another one which says order ID. Right? So this one is going to say order number, and this is going to have in JSX the ID. Right? So you can see it's massive at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and obviously make that a little bit nicer. So we're going to say class name should be absolute. So right now I want that to be in the top corner like so, and I want it to truncate after a certain size. Okay. So here we're going to say absolute, right? And I'm going to say top 2, right of 2, width should be 40 and no more on the mobile. See that? And then we get this horrible nastiness, right? And I'm going to say large should be width of 72. So I'll change it, don't worry, width of 72. And then I'm going to add in truncate. Truncate means if it's bigger, start cutting it off. You see that? And then it stops wrapping around, right? So that's how we do it. And then I'm going to say the text should be extra small. And I want it to be white space, no wrap. Nice. Okay, so now you'll see it will grow accordingly. And then on the big screen, there you go. There we go. It looks pretty good, right? Cesar says, so how much time have you spent on this build? This project is huge and super cool. I honestly just didn't sleep for like a few days. It was about 3 or 4 days of really intense work. And I kind of just broke it down and attacked it. Right, so we got the P tag here. And then I'm going to go ahead and say div. And here I'm going to have and this is where we have the images, guys. So I'm going to have these pictures now, okay? So I'm going to have a div with a div inside of it. And the div at the top is going to have a class name of P of 5, right? And overreacted that. I learned from signing now, I have my own channel. Awesome stuff, dude. And I'm going to say on the small screens and above, so the bigger screens, I'm going to give padding a 10, right? And then I will in a sec, dude. Give me 1 sec. So he says, can you show an orders.js when it comes from get session? Orders.js. Because you've been watching, dude. You're an OG. I'll show you. There you go. Okay. That's what you do. You probably need to await. That's all. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do. So we've got the div inside. And then what I'm going to say is for the div inside, I'm going to say that has a class name. So actually, let's just start rendering the images. I'm going to say for the images, I'm going to say map through every single image and return the following thing. I want to see an image tag. And for the source, I'm going to have the image itself. And then we can go ahead and style it up. Oh, I've made a typo. Don't do that. Image, hit save. Okay. So right now, obviously, I mean, it looks decent, but it's just huge. So there's a problem with that. So I'm going to give a class name to this. And I'm going to say, wait for it, class name equals, and I'm going to say a height of 20, right? Object contain. And small screens and above, so anything above a small screen should be a height of 32. Okay. And that should fix an element there. Okay, cool. Looking good, guys. Looking good. And then the final step, you can probably beat me to it. It's actually flex. We're going to give it a space of X on the X axis of 6. And then I'm going to say overflow X auto, right? Which means that when it overflows, if we've got an order which is big enough, let me see if I've got one here. So like this one, for example, if it gets big enough, you can see it goes ahead and just scrolls across, right? So it looks pretty good there, right? Everything looks pretty good. Nice. Okay. So this is looking pretty, to be honest, I don't want to say it, but I think we might have just finished, right? So, and look at that. The music is awesome. So you know what, guys, let's go ahead and test out the entire build right now. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure you smash the thumbs up button already, because this is crazy, right? So we might have honestly just finished the front end of this bit right now. Right, so you can ignore this bit for now. And I do want to show you a little hack, by the way. So right now when we refresh, notice how it has a little glitch at the top where it says sign in and then it says no sign in, right? So to get rid of that glitch, on whatever page you want to do it for, if we go to index.js, right, I'll show you how you get rid of that trick, right? So go to index.js, for example. Very handy little trick, actually. And you can go ahead and say const session equals await get session, get the context behind it, and you just return that as a prop, right? Return it as a prop. And already, because we're going to be using the, I think anything underneath that after, will then have the session already loaded into it. So if I go back to my Amazon homepage, now notice when I refresh, there's no glitch there. You see that? It's already fetched. It fetched on the, see that? It fetched on the server, right? But it's page specific. So if I go to returns and orders, or, oh, we need to do that actually. We need to make that route to the page, returns and orders. So we'll go to your headers. We're almost done anyway. Right, so for the header, where is it gone? So inside of our header, we're going to say on click of, where is it gone? Accounts and orders, this one. We'll say on click of accounts and orders, returns and orders, we're going to say, if there is a session, so only if you're logged in, we want to push them. Otherwise, don't push them to that page. You can do if you want, but it's up to you. It depends on how you want to do UX. Right, to be honest, it's probably better because we actually do account for it. So yeah, let's do it. We still account for it. Rooters.push orders. There we go. Okay. And now if I go ahead and do it, so if I click on root returns and orders, there you go. Nice, right? If I refresh this page, you can see how it glitches, right? So you need to just go ahead and add the same thing to that page and it will prevent the glitch from happening, right? So that's awesome stuff, right? It works really kind of simply and it works simple with that. Now, right? I want to go ahead and play some, you know, let's go ahead and get real. Where's it gone? Okay, there we go. Right, there we are. That's the one I was looking for. Okay, this is the moment of truth, guys. So we've done all the front end work, right? Now, don't get me wrong, we still have to do a deployment, but Let's see if it works from end to end, right? It's a moment of truth, guys, right? Get ready for this. We're gonna do a test run first and then we're gonna deploy, okay? So, first thing you wanna do when you run this application now, Command J, you're gonna start your listener for your Stripe webhooks. So it's getting ready. We have our webhook listener, we have our application running. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead to our application. We are logged in, so everything is good on that front. Great stuff. And then we're gonna go ahead and add a few items to the basket. Oh, it's getting me shivers right now. All right, and then we're gonna click on proceed to checkout. Okay, so we can see 3 items in here. Okay, so if I proceed to checkout, 148. Okay, now it's 148 with $6.99 shipping. That's why it's 155. Everything has come through perfectly. I'm gonna go ahead and add in the details. Okay, I'm adding in my details right now. 42424242 for the card details. Okay. Right, let's do this, guys. Pay. What? Oh, is it gonna work, guys? I'm not even gonna check the server logs. Okay, and if we see the order right now. Nice. That is so goddamn cool. Look at that, guys. That worked like, that was perfect. That was so perfect. That was a full run through. And the app is working. I thought that was amazing. That is so fun. Right, guys. Hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed that run through. I know it was a little bit suspense. We thought we'd try something a little bit different. The comments right now are incredible, right? I love the positivity. The fact that you lot still have energy after that insane run through, right? Marty goes, the music is so intense. I know, that's what I was trying to push for, you know, that bit of intensity. Guys, the next step is a little bit of configuration for the deployment, and then it's golden, okay? So there's a tiny bit of configuration for the you know, the finishing touch, and then we are golden, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and, you know, we'll go back into a little bit of a focus mode, and then we'll get back hyped up when we wrap up, right? But guys, we are doing amazing right now. We are doing amazing right now. Let's keep on going. JM Ninja says, fail, got an empty order right at the end. Don't worry, dude, I had it. I'm telling you, I had it. This is just probably gonna be your webhook. It's guarantee it's there. So check your signing secret. Make sure you do Stripe login and it's the correct account, okay? But keep on going, dude. Right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and try and do a deployment now. So I'm gonna firstly push this code. This is already hooked up to a GitHub account on Vercel. So it's already connected to my Vercel account. So what I'm gonna do now, guys, is I'm gonna go ahead and push this code. So I'm gonna say git add all, git commit, and we're gonna say day 4 build. So there you go. And you can see now the 13 goes away because we've just committed all those files. And then I'm gonna say git push. So this would push my code to my GitHub. Awesome stuff, right? Oh my God, another 200 followers. Cesar, honestly, I don't know what's going on, man. I really don't know. It's crazy stuff though. I don't know, are we close to 700 likes? But all I know is for day 4, that's impressive, man. I'm blown away myself. All right, Jay Ninja, don't worry, dude. Keep it up. That's awesome, man. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead. We've deployed it. Okay, so I need to go ahead and check out on Vercel. So let's double check what's happening on Vercel. Okay. So now there's gonna be a bunch of environment variables that I'm gonna have to set up. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and click continue with GitHub, and I'm gonna have to quickly log in on this one, guys. And do I have my creds here? Okay, give me 1 second, guys. I'm just gonna get my. Okay, I'm gonna risk it all. I'm gonna put Chrome on because I just can't be asked for that. I'm gonna put Chrome on. Oh, we're back on Chrome, guys. Watch that CPU and RAM get eaten. Right, so now we've got the Amazon to Amazon starter template. Where is it gone? This one right here. Okay, this is the one I'm looking for. Okay, so you can see this was just created a minute ago because we just deployed. Okay, so that's looking great. So if we go over to our deployments, we can see that it says day 4 build. Awesome stuff, looking great. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I want to go to my settings. Right, yeah, honestly, Shweta says it. She was like, whoever coded off with me today, hats off. Like, and guys, I'm not even just joking. That was well done for everyone who stuck around. The retention right now for the build that we just did is insane. Like, really, honestly, crazy stuff. Salmon says, now I feel my confidence in React suddenly increased so much thanks to you. That's awesome, man. That's what I want to hear. Thank you so much, dude. I'm going to click environment variables, and here you can see I've got my Google secret and Google ID, but I'm going to go ahead and pop in the rest. Okay, so this is your final steps. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my Stripe public key. So this is the first one. And then I'm going to go ahead and pop that in. I'm going to click add. And obviously I'm showing you, and then I'm going to deactivate this. So it's all good for me, but don't share your stuff. Stripe secret key goes here. I'm going to put in my secret key like so. There we go. Click add. And then I'm going to also put in, we've got the Next.js URL. So this one we're going to have to configure in a sec. Same for the host, right? So these two things I'm going to have to configure in a sec. But what I want you to do actually to sort of save time is you want to click on your deployments. Okay. And then once this loads up, I want you to go to this URL. Okay. So not the short URL. I want the long URL. Okay. So I want the one which says, let's have a look. So if you click on Amazon to Amber, there you go, and you click sign in, you're going to get, and if I click on sign in, you see how it redirects me again. This is the URL that I care about. Amazon to this one. Okay. So you want to get the long, ugly one. You want to grab that long, ugly one, and then you want to make that your URL. Okay. So in this case, what I'm doing, guys, is I'm saying, for me, it's going to be Next.js underscore URL. Okay. And then I'm also going to say, one second. I'm also going to say, so this one, add it. There we go. And I'm also going to change this host. And if you do get a domain name, you can definitely go ahead. So for example, at this point, I was saying www.sunnysanga.com. But you, in this case, you're going to have to do, you know, the one that we've got here. I'm going to grab this value again. There we go. Okay. Awesome stuff. We're going to click add. Nice. Okay, so we've got Google ID, Google secret, Stripe public key, Stripe secret key, Next.js URL, and the host. Okay. So now we should have everything in play. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my overview. And there's still more to do, so don't worry. We're gonna get through this together. Okay, so I'm back to my application. I'm gonna click visit. Okay, so this is the deployed app. So you see the long curly URL, not the short one, the long curly one. Okay, and now what I'm gonna say is I'm gonna go ahead and say sign in, and let's firstly check that this is all working. So sign in, and you can see the redirect is not working. It does not match the authorized one, so we have to go ahead and update this. I'll probably change that actually. That's probably my bad. So let's go ahead and I'm in the wrong one. So I'm going to go into a different account. Let's go into the correct account. So you can use the short one, give it a try, but you know, like this is where you can trial and error, okay? My honest advice here would be if you've done this much work, then definitely go ahead and just get yourself a custom domain and put it on there, right? That's what I'd recommend. Okay, so then at this point, we've got the URIs. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop in, oops. No, not that one. No. I'm gonna go back to my sign in. Where did it go? Where was it? This one here. So it says HTTP request. I'm going to add this in the URL. So here, so in authorized redirect URIs, I'm going to pop it in there. Okay. And then for the URI, I'm going to go ahead and do it the same thing, but I'm going to get rid of everything past your app. Okay. I'm going to click save. Awesome. I see loads of people asking for, Jay, I see you. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, cool. And then what I'm going to do is, let's try again now. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to my app. So let's go back again. Stick with me, guys. We are so close to the end now. Okay. So I'm going to click on sign in. Sign in with Google. Okay. And boom. Okay, we get this. Now you can click papareact.team. Awesome stuff. Okay. Now, once you've done that, right, you can see it's all looking great. So I'm going to go ahead and add to basket, add to basket, add to basket. Click on this. Click proceed to checkout. Let's see if it worked. That means our secret keys have been set up correctly if it shifts us to a Stripe. If it doesn't, then it's not done correctly yet. Okay, so when I added those credentials in, I didn't trigger a redeployment. So that's probably why. Yep, that's why. So what I need to do is I need to go back to my build. I need to go to deployments and I need to go ahead and say redeploy. Nice. Okay, this will go ahead and redeploy the build with the new environment variables that I added in. Okay. Now guys, while this is loading, I'm going to give a massive shout out to the guys over at Hostinger, right? So they're the ones who made it possible for me to get the custom domain sunnysanga.com for like a dirt cheap amount, okay? So remember guys, we do have an awesome code over there, code Sunny. Make sure you use it at checkout. And what you can do guys is once you're done, you can change your next auth and your host environment variables to simply the one that you bought. Right, so imagine if you bought like, let's imagine it was like in this case, sunnysanga.com. You just need to go ahead and hook it up in the way that I'm going to show you afterwards. So I'll go ahead and show you how you can do it afterwards. But for now, let's go ahead and just get this up and running. But it's extremely easy to actually get up and running with hosting domain names. Okay, so let's go ahead and check this one out. Okay. We are almost done, guys. Almost there. Okay. Refresh. Let's see if it's done it. There we go. Created 1 minute ago. Now let's double check if it's doing what we need to do. Awesome stuff. Build done. Visit the page and hopefully the cache is done. Okay. Nice. Sign in. Okay. Let's sign in one more time. And then I'm going to sign in with my account. Can you install Stripe CLI with npm? Yeah, you can. Of course you can. No, I don't know actually. I don't know. But guys, don't worry. If you want to do it via the CLI, install Homebrew and then install Stripe. It's easy to do. Okay. So now we're going to click add to product. There we go. Add to basket. Sorry. Proceed to checkout. And now we should see a redirect here. Okay. Let's double check what's happening. Something here has been changed. So it says integration, invalid value for Stripe API key should be a string, you specified undefined. Okay, so that's what's happening here. So we haven't passed in our environment variables correctly. So I just need to double check what our environment variables are and then if we've done it right. So let's go over here. Settings, and this final part is the bit where again, you know, you have to like be patient, keep moving with it, and just double check all your values. So in this case, we've got host, we've got yes, that's great. Now we are going to also do the Stripe signing secret in a sec, but we've got the Google ID, yes, Google secret, we've got next auth URL, yes, and this one is, let's just double check it, Stripe secret key, 51i, SX, blah blah blah. Okay. Looking great. And then you got the public key, you got the Google Street Group key. Nice. Okay, and then we've got the host key, which is looking good as well. Okay. And then what we do need to check as well is that the next config was set up correctly as well. So Stripe public key, that was working on our local, which means that it most likely is the correct over here. Okay, so once that's done, what you can do is, but basically I probably maybe made a little slip up here, but guys, what you want to do is do the same thing. I'm going to show you my build, and we can go ahead and work through it, the same approach. So here we go. So this is my build, same exact thing. I've just set up the environment variables to save us a bit of time. So here we go, the environment variables. So you see we've got all of our keys that you can see, and the final one that we were missing is Stripe secret key. Now I'm going to show you where you can find the secret key. So previously, the secret key that you guys were using was the one that you got from this Stripe listen to command. Okay, but the one that you actually need, guys, is this one over here. So you want to go over to Stripe. You're going to go over to Stripe. Okay, you're going to go to your developers, and you want to click on Webhooks. Okay, now inside of Webhooks, you want to go ahead and do not worry about that when you're doing it. It's probably a minor little thing. You're going to click add endpoint, and then here your API endpoint. Okay, so this is where you want to go ahead and push in your endpoint. So in this case, what I've done before is do API webhook, but in the previous case when we had, you know, the sort of ugly URL that Vercel gave us, let me go ahead and show you. Nope, not that one. Nope, not that one. In this case, when we're on Vercel, so this one over here. Okay, then what we can actually do is change this round. So we got add endpoint, and then we go ahead and pop this in here, and we get rid of this, and we say /API /webhook. Okay, and this is the webhook that will go ahead and receive the Stripe events. Okay, so now you can see this is how you replace it. So that way, obviously, we don't have an emulator once it's on Vercel. So now we're pushing it to this one instead. Select the events to send. Okay, so here we say checkout session completed. So now you can see this is how you want to configure it. Okay, then you hit add endpoint. Right now, what this is going to do is going to give you a signing secret. So we're going to click on the signing secret, copy it, go over to our Vercel deployment, and go ahead and pop it in there and say Stripe signing secret. Then what you want to do is head over to deployments, go ahead and redeploy, and it will work. Okay, so I've just made a little slip up on the other one. Like, it most likely one of the environment variables, a character was wrong when I copied and pasted it, but that is how we do it. Okay, so these are the values that you would want to do. I really recommend, guys, that you have a water break. That's the first thing. I really recommend that you have a water break right now. Okay, now what I would recommend, guys, to wrap this build off right, which makes it look like work perfectly, is rather than messing around with a messy domain name, right? You've come this far, right? You've worked so hard to get to this final point. Now, why would you, like, use some ugly domain name, right? So what I'd recommend, guys, is instead you go and grab a domain name off Hostinger. Okay, so Hostinger are an amazing platform. They offer incredibly competitive prices for their packages. Your boy Papa React has actually hooked you up with a discount code. So use code SUNNY at checkout, and you're going to be able to save yourself a bunch of money when you get your domain name. Okay, so you can see they've got a bunch of different plans here, but I would recommend you can pick whichever one you want. And you can pretty much go ahead and grab yourself a domain. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in and show you how I was able to go ahead and connect my domain name up to Hostinger. Okay, and then that way, hopefully it should help you guys do the same thing so that you can use it when you're doing it. Now we're going to play a quick game of select the boat. You know how they make us do it. Sometimes I question, I'm like, is that actually a boat? Have you guys ever had that? I get it all the time. I've actually failed a capture before. I'm like, wow, okay, I guess I'm a robot. And there we go. Let me log into, I think I'm in the wrong account. Okay. Seems like I've got the wrong details. Let me go ahead and try again. Okay. Did Honey actually help you ever? Yes, I actually did use Honey. Okay. Let me go ahead and try my login one more time. Oh my God, my 2-factor authentication today is going crazy. Let's try this out one more time. Okay. I'm just logging into my hosting. Nice. And this will mean that you guys will finish it off with your own really beautiful like host name that you like. That's what I want for you guys, to have a very nice kind of host name, yeah, that you can connect. Right, so I was in the account, but it was the wrong account. Oops. Right, so I'm gonna go and try and log in one more time. Okay. Logging into my second account. Let's go ahead and try this out. Blue Octopus says the capture even said I was a robot. Yeah, honestly, I feel you, man. I feel you. Okay, so once you've gone ahead and got your domain, so I went ahead and bought my domain sunnysanga.com, because guys, honestly, it's a nice flex, right? That you can have like a very nice portfolio. Doesn't matter what you're doing, but you want to go ahead and grab your domain name, click this. The H panel makes it extremely simple to go ahead and set this up, right? So if you click on DNS name servers over here, right, you get the manage DNS records page. Now to connect this to your Vercel deployment, so for example this ugly URL, if you want to change this to the really nice deployment, go to your settings tab inside your Vercel deployment and then go to the domain section. Okay, click on add, right? So I'm going to go ahead and add a little test one. Let's just type in, imagine it was abc.com, and I clicked add, right? Then you can go ahead and you want, of course, want to redirect all the ABC traffic to that as well. So you can go ahead and do that as well. Nice. Okay, so let's just do ABC test 1, 2, 3. Nice. Let's just try a random one. Okay. And then what you're going to get is this right here. So all you need to do, guys, is copy this value. It's easy, right? You copy this value and you can do the same thing for the CNAME, right? So you're going to copy this value and then get the record details, go over to your H panel and you simply go ahead and paste it in. So it's honestly as simple as that. You just go ahead and pop this in and you would change that value over here. So you would have an A at 76. So in this case, A at 76, click add record, give it a while. And before you know it, you'll get a little tick and you have a custom domain name. It makes all of those checks before, you know, the next auth and the host sort of environment variables so much easier, right? So I am going to pop in a link in the description. I'll get Jay to do it now. But basically what we're going to do is underneath the homework sort of link, we'll have a link for a special link that you can use that will give you a discount off of your annual plan on hosting, all right? Or you could use code Sunny at checkout. Guys, do it, honestly, because it's a really nice thing to have. After you've done all of this work, you want to have a nice domain name at the end of it, right? So that would be a great way to finish the build off. But guys, what we want to do now is make sure, if you can't find that link, well, I'm going to add it right now afterwards. But make sure you use code Sunny at checkout and it will work. SONNY. Okay. So that's going to be a nice little finish. Natasha says, yes, exactly. That's the energy we want to have. And guys, before we wrap up, let's go ahead and do a full run through of the app that we built in this 5-day challenge, right? So we're not finished yet. Day 5 is tomorrow, the biggest day ever. And guys, we're going to go ahead and give you a complete run through of the application that we built today. Let's check this one out, right? So Jay, just let me know if you did add that in, right? So we're gonna go ahead and add in a bunch of the items. There we go. And I'm actually gonna sign in first. So let's do that first. That will make sense. And I'm gonna sign into my account. Okay, nice. And I'm gonna sign in like so. Awesome stuff. And then here I'm gonna go ahead and add an item to basket. Add this. Nice. And then I'm gonna go ahead and check out. There we go. Proceed to checkout. Great. And then here, once we're here, I'm going to go ahead and add in the details. Okay. So let's go ahead and pop in my details. Somebody said, why don't you show your screen even though it's dummy details? Because the autofill comes up with actual details. And that's not cool, guys. That's really not cool. So obviously we don't want to have that come up. Okay. So guys, now what you want to do is click pay. And then we went ahead and have all of this. You know, we had all this working. This will trigger the webhook that we saw earlier, which will go ahead and, you know, hit our endpoint, our backend endpoint, push the information to Firebase. So we fulfill the order at this point, but then we get the thank you confirmation page. And then if I click go to my orders, we're going to have our Firebase information combined with some Stripe information to represent our order. Incredible, incredible stuff, right? Really, really nice. So that's looking awesome, guys. Harsha says, sir, hosting size, how much do we need? You don't need, honestly, you don't need much at all. So like, if you want to choose the cheapest one, go for the cheapest one, but you just want to get the name. I'm not sure what everyone's laughing about, but yeah, I couldn't see the chat. I moved too quick. But yeah, this is amazing stuff. Juliana says, Sunny, since day one, I deployed with my own domain, but yesterday doing the auth, when I check, it goes back to the ugly URL. Maybe it does behind the scenes, but when you actually whitelist those values, that's going to get you past it, right? Remember, if you run into any trouble at the Google stage, it literally gives you the URLs to whitelist. If you run into any trouble afterwards, it's going to be with the environment variables. Take your time with this, guys, because you can see it does work. We have it on sunnysanga.com. So if you want to mess around with it there, you can use it there to sort of play around with it, see how it should be working. But remember what we said, guys. So I think the link isn't working correctly at the moment. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Jay just chucked in the chat. You can go ahead and check it out. We're going to include that in the description as well. Like I said, guys, have a beautiful looking, fancy hosting a name, domain name hooked up to this site, and it will look really, really clean. And guys, I think this was an incredible few days. Now, before we wrap up, go ahead and I want to have a chat with you guys. Did you enjoy this build? Right? We learned so many different concepts in this build. I'm going to go ahead and actually write them down right now. Right? So we learned so many different things in this build. I'm actually going to use something called, I'm going to get a blackboard here. I'll say blackboard, black screen. I think it's called Yofla, but it's quite cool. Yofla, there we go. Okay. Nice. So check this out, guys. We have a black screen here. I'm going to go ahead and go over and list out everything that you guys learned in this build today. Okay. So we went ahead and we learned Next.js, right? So we have Next.js. Oops, again. We have Next.js, right? We learned about server-side rendering, so SSR, right? You learned about Redux, right? So you guys will actually got some use out of Redux. So you can put all of these things on your portfolio that you got in day one. We learned about Tailwind CSS, right? So how you can build amazingly responsive websites, right? So not only normal things, but we learned about responsive websites, right? So that's why our website looks crisp and looks so goddamn beautiful. We learned about Next Auth authentication. So we had Next Auth authentication. So this was authentication. Yeah, so this is looking amazing. Now we have Google login. You also saw how simple it was to add in more providers. So some of you actually did it. You had Google, Facebook, GitHub login. Incredible stuff, right? And I'm reading your comments. This is incredible, guys. I love it. I love the energy. As I'm listing out everything, comment down saying I am registered for tomorrow, because we're going to end this with a massive bang. It's going to be a huge party tomorrow. I want to see you there. And yeah, as I continue on here, let me know in the comments saying I am ready for tomorrow, right? We learned about APIs, right? So we actually use the Firestore API. Right, so we learned about the Firestore API. We had so much stuff inside of this build. We had hero icons for SVG icons, right? So SVG icons, it was looking great. So look at this. We have so many people right here. So we have a Blue Octopus. He goes, Avnish, Abdullah, Aman Crow, Piyush, your status. Nice, guys. The hosting discount code, by the way, is now in the description. So you can check that out. Razul, Aman, Shweta, Ben, Vinicius Costa, I see you. Natasha says, I'm ready for tomorrow. This is what I'm talking about, guys. This is the energy that we are after, right? We had Next.js, Redux, Tailwind, CSS, Next Auth, API, hero icons, and of course, everything underneath it, REACT.JS, right? So much stuff happening here. And obviously, all of these things branch out into all sorts of stuff. Here we had, we had Next Router. We had, especially optimizing the images with Next Image. The image component. We learned about good design, right? JM Ninja, the project is deployed to my subdomain on my portfolio. Do I really need to buy a domain for the challenge? It's completely up to you, dude. Completely your call. You don't have to. There's no extra points, but it's just a nice finishing touch, right? It'll be a really awesome touch for you to have, even for your portfolio, right? To have sunnysanga.com as opposed to Vercel-ABC is a lot better, right? So yeah, and also guys, of course, we learned about webhooks, right? We learned about webhooks. We learned about Stripe, right? So Stripe checkouts. We did all of this good stuff, and we learned about Firebase. Right, so we had Firebase. Oh, this is crazy, guys. All of this in these days, you guys have picked up on. Now think about your CV now, right? Your CV is jacked. It's powerful, right? So don't worry if you're late with your submission. Again, even if you miss the training, like even if you miss tomorrow, or you, as in you missed the deadline, don't worry about it. Turn up, because there's a prize for everyone who turns up tomorrow, just for tomorrow. Okay, so you get a prize for that. Joe says, I'm so ready for tomorrow. I've been ready for day 5 before this challenge started. Let's go. Harsha says, please tell me about, nice. Just feel free to follow, dude. Yeah, guys, we absolutely crushed it. And guys, the Papa fam absolutely came through with this build. We crushed it, guys. Amin says, deadline for homework. Yeah, so if you want the points, it's going to be before the build tomorrow, which is an ask. It's a tricky one, right? I don't know if I'm going to extend it or not. I don't think so, right? But guys, overall, we killed it in this build. I'm going to end it as it needs to be ended, with the only thing which is right, the Papa Fam anthem. A lot of you will know what this anthem is, but if you don't know, get to know it, right? And Gwen says, the best prize for yourself is your participation during these days. Exactly. I want to say again, massive thank you. We have so many new subscribers. This is where I don't have the music. We have so many subscribers during this challenge. I want to just take a second now to say thank you so much, everyone, for giving me your time, giving me your focus. You could have been doing anything during these few days, but you gave it to me. And I just want to say, yeah, let's absolutely crush it. Let's finish it with a bang. And guys, this is what it's about, right? This is what it's about. I'm going to go ahead and just read out these comments as it comes through. Sign up for day 5 tomorrow. And we're just going to carry the energy on tomorrow. When that beat drops, guys, I'm officially going to be wrapping up and ending this right now. 43,000 subscribers. Crushed it, guys. We built Amazon. Just insane. Just insane. The things we do as the Papa fam. We built this, guys. Incredible, incredible stuff. Just say well done to yourself, guys. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace.